Mamacita, vámonos de fiesta. Desde que te vi, buscaba una así. Desde que te vi, buscaba una así. Y por fin te conseguí. Desde que te vi, yo me enloquecí. Buscaba una así y por fin te conseguí. Desde que te vi, yo me enloquecí. Buscaba una así y por fin te conseguí. Y ahora en mi corazón tú estás y ya no quiero a nadie más. Contigo bien quiero pasarla. Mamacita, vámonos de fiesta. Y ahora en mi corazón tú estás y ya no quiero a nadie más. Contigo bien quiero pasarla. Mamacita, vámonos de fiesta. Desde que te vi, buscaba una así.
Hello. Excuse me. Geez, just choking to death. Hi, everyone. Hi. I know I'm starting super early today. I'm not expecting many people to be here yet. That's okay. I just saw right before I was planning to go live at like 1:30. Um, but I saw that Caroline Levitt's about to do a press conference, so I decided to start a little bit earlier, so we could maybe watch the press conference before I do my regular presentation. Okay. So, it'll just be nonsense propaganda, etc. But always good to see what the standard propaganda line is, isn't it? Okay, so let me just pull it up here. Let me see who's here. Also, who do we got here? We got the first one here, Doug. Hey, you're back to being number one, Doug. You were late last time, though, Doug. I see you, Doug. Okay. Thank you, Jason, for following. Is this a Jason I know? I know at least one Jason. Let's put it that way. Hello, Diego. Glad to see you here, Diego. Luke. Hey, Luke's here. Hello, Luke. How you doing, Luke? Luke, we might actually be covering that thing you sent me, the Christian Nationalist Constitution you sent me. We'll see if we have time. But I was going to give you a shout out later in this stream for that. Okay. And if we don't do it today, we'll do it a different day because I read it per your suggestion. And boy, is it interesting in a terrifying way. I feel like this is one second. I just need to fix this, folks. I kind of got ready quickly so that I could not miss, so we wouldn't miss the press conference. London. Hey, London's here. Hey, London. Luke, I'm hearing Simon on one of the channels say stochastic Ron multiple times. Oh my, I'm so sorry, Luke. That drives me crazy too. Okay. Maxim, hello, Maxim. Glad to see you back here. Yes, Maxim. Welcome back, comrade. Big Braden, hey, Big Braden. Big Braden's here. Good. I'm glad you are too, Luke. Very glad you're here. Okay, folks. So I'm gonna pull it up again. I have a whole bunch of things to do today. I mean, like in for the stream, but just bear with me for the first part because Caroline Levitt's about to speak, Trump's press secretary, in one of the regular press briefings. I just thought it'd be interesting I haven't watched one in a while to watch that, and then I'll do a presentation on a topic, okay, as I normally do. So we'll do some educational stuff. Then we will review for the Kahoot, which is tomorrow. We're having a Kahoot tomorrow, folks. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've had a Kahoot. Then we will talk a little bit about Christian nationalism, Discord reactions, etc. Okay. So just preparing you all for that. Let me put up the screen here. All right. So we're just waiting right now for the witch Barbie to get up there. Excuse me, the Christian witch Barbie, excuse me. We can just chat in the meantime. I have some food here. I'm eating because I'm a fat pig. So some it's just a regular press briefing, Alan. I haven't seen one in a while, and I started a bit early. Um, so I started a bit early just to watch it right before I do the lesson, just for shits and giggles. So it's probably just a bunch of nonsense propaganda, Alan. Oh, probably actually, Alan, it might be. It might be about tearing down the whole East Wing. Okay. Um, which, by the way, Big Braden, you asked me at one point because I remember these things, Big Braden, to do a presentation on the War of 1812. Now, I'm not doing that today, but you may know, Big Braden, that the last time the White House was this destroyed was during the War of 1812, right? When the British burned it down. So anyway, I understand though, Big Braden. No reason. I mean, yeah, okay. But, Big Braden, I have a good memory for this crap. I used to be a teacher, right? Okay. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, the World Series, etc. Okay, very interesting, Big Braden. Okay, so we'll see uh, if and when she comes out. Um, Woo, Luke, thank you for subscribing, Luke. Woo, over 1 month, I got myself membership the other day to work at overthrowing the totalitarian leader, London. London, you got a threat coming. You got a threat coming. Okay. Uh, yeah, it is Big Braden. I remember you telling me about that, and I will. I am planning to do a presentation on it at some point. Thank you, Maxim. Okay. Thank you, Luke, for that. I will count that, Luke, as our first. So, folks, we got a 10 super chat thing going here. If we get 1 super chat, Jester hat, 3 Jester collar, 5 Jester makeup, 7 a Q&A, and if we get all the way to 10 or get to $50, whichever one comes first, we will do a Jester After Dark stream, okay? All right. So, because of Luke, well, wait, Luke, did you just? I got myself a membership the other day to work at Overthrow. Gotcha. Okay, so Luke, I'm going to put on the jester hat because a membership counts. Okay, memberships count if it's rebel or above. Thank you, Luke. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, Luke. I really should just wear it automatically. I feel like it's a draw. But alas, I'm a filthy capitalist pig. And I need to make money. Okay, I know that's not the same as being a capitalist. I'm just okay. Anyway, thank you, Luke, very much for that. Okay, uh, all right. Um, Still no sign of Caroline Levitt. I'm sure she's praying or something. Matthew Musgrave, what a question anyone can answer. What was similar or different? So Matthew, I mean, not much. I will say though, Trump had been much more willing to ignore the right to due process. Um, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Luke. Thank you. Okay. Um, Trump has ignored the white right to due process more. Trump has also sought to deport people to countries that they don't even have any relationship with. He's also deported people to countries with like to CICOT in El Salvador. He's also built what could be described as concentration camps to house these migrants before sending them. Although Obama did also have these like places where he would put people. Exactly, Big Braden. Obama did do it legally. Trump has broken the law many times, and how he's done it. Trump is just crueler about it. Yeah, I suppose that's how you could phrase that. I'm not defending Obama, but Trump is just crueler about it and more dehumanizing. But that's a good question, Matthew. By the way, welcome back, Matthew. Glad to see you here. Okay, is she even going to speak? She's not going to speak anytime soon. We're just going to start into the lesson because screw this. I did say I would start at 1:30. Maybe we'll wait till 1:40, and then if she doesn't talk, yeah, there you go. That's a good way of putting it, Big Braden. Obama smiled at you while he booted you out the door. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is it just me, or is it a bit annoying to everyone? Do you see how like the camera is a little bit off center? So like this podium is not exactly center in the page is going to drive me insane. Anyway, a little OCD moment there. All right. How's everyone doing out there? Again, thank you so much, Luke, for that. I guess I already said it, but thank you. Do you hear that? 2 minutes until the briefing. So 2 more minutes here, and then we'll see what kind of nonsense. I do, Luke. I have a problem with symmetry. Although, admittedly, Luke, my whole setup is also asymmetrical, so I need to be better making everything symmetrical. But all right. Do you think she's doing like? Remember that clip of all the evangelicals standing outside the White House, like speaking in tongues and stuff? Do you think that's what she's doing right now? She's like, oh, like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be making fun of people's religion, but I just imagine that's what she's probably doing right now. All right. Oh, that's a good point, Matthew. Yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely, there wasn't as much. Yeah, I don't think Obama did the separations. Would someone tell me if that's true? Did Obama actually separate children from their families? I don't think he did. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think he did. So I think that'd be a good. I hope that answers it, Matthew. Yeah, Luke probably is back there with Paula White, right? Just throwing the N-word around, laughing about it, and maybe frying up some butter. Okay. Look, someone's out here. Okay, nope. Okay. Well, that was anticlimactic. About a minute here, folks. Apparently, about a minute here, folks. Apparently, because they said 2 minutes about a minute ago. Okay. Oh my God, Big Braden. You're totally right, Big Braden. You're totally right, Big Braden. Yeah, it's probably like the scene with like the Invisible Man and what's her name, Starlight. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I mean, okay? I don't want to go into it, but you know exactly what I mean, Big Braden. It is like the boys behind the scenes, I'm sure. No doubt. Hey, Plant Sunshine. Glad to see your Plant Sunshine. That's right, Luke. I suspect that Obama was the same because I know Biden did have a sponsorship program with children to stay with their family or other sponsors. Yeah, no, I know, Big Brain. I had trouble watching more than 1 or 2 episodes at a time of The Boys because it's kind of hard to watch. Yeah, I think you know what I mean, Big Brain. But it's very good. All right. Oh my. Okay, where is she? It's been 2 minutes. It's been 2 minutes. This is bad for the stream. Why is she doing this to me? Why is the female Goebbels doing this to me? If they ever made a Goebbels Barbie, like they have different kinds of Barbies. If they ever made a Goebbels Barbie, this would totally be she would be what it looks like. Thank you, Nathan, for following me on Twitch. Okay, come on. Also, I really shouldn't be demonizing people by their looks and stuff like that. Thank you so much, Plant Sunshine. Really, thank you, Plant Sunshine. Plant Sunshine, you're not American, are you? May I ask? You're European. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I see that those are, what are those, euros? Thank you very much, Plant Sunshine, for the super chat there. One more, folks, and I'll put on the caller. Hey, AMA Gaming, hello. Oh, you're right, Maxim. She's probably practicing the lies. There she is. Everyone do the Heil.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for my tardiness today, so let's get right to it. We'll begin today with some scheduling announcements for President Trump's upcoming trip to Asia. Tomorrow night at 11 p.m., the president will depart the White House to fly to Malaysia, where he will arrive on Sunday morning local time. It's a long flight. President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Malaysia in the afternoon, and then he will attend the ASEAN Leaders Working Dinner that evening. On Monday morning local time, the president will fly to Tokyo. Tuesday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the new Prime Minister of Japan. On Wednesday morning local time, the president will fly to Busan, where he will participate in a bilateral meeting with the President of the Republic of Korea, deliver keynote remarks at the APEC CEO luncheon, and then participate in a U.S. APEC Leaders Working Dinner. On Thursday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with President Xi of the People's Republic of China before departing to return home to Washington, D.C.
First, he's meeting with
on Thursday night, upon arrival in Washington, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will participate in Halloween at the White House, where they will welcome law enforcement, military, and foster families. And I know many of us look forward to that. In other news, we are now on day 23 of the Democrat government shutdown. Senate Democrats have voted 12 separate times now to keep the government closed. Innocent Americans are suffering every day as a result. More than 500,000 civilian federal employees will miss a full paycheck tomorrow. Thousands of small business loans are going unapproved each month. This means almost $4 billion in capital is being withheld from small businesses across the country.
Not the capital,
The Democrat shutdown is also causing severe impacts at airports across the country. In one single day this week, the FAA had to issue ground stops impacting flights at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport and Hobby Airport. 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that we all fly safely are continuing to work without pay. This is egregious and truly sad. Some of them are reportedly being forced to turn to driving for Uber and taking on other second jobs to make ends meet as the Democrats continue to shut down the government. Pilots are calling on Democrats to end this dangerous political game. The president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association called for the clean continuing resolution to be passed, saying, quote, "Our air traffic controllers and the broader air traffic system are already operating under immense pressure. A government shutdown only compounds that stress and threatens the efficiency of our skies." The Airline Pilots Association International, which represents more than 80,000 pilots, is sounding the alarm as well. They said this shutdown is undermining our system's safety. Resources are stretched thin, negotiations are delayed, and strain grows daily. With the Thanksgiving holiday approaching, we are nearing the busiest travel period of the entire year, when millions of Americans will go to airports to spend time with their loved ones. Let us be very clear from the White House today. If the Democrats continue to keep the government closed, we fear there will be significant flight delays, disruptions, and cancellations in major airports across the country this holiday season. If Democrats continue to shut down the government, they will also be shutting down American air travel. The White House is in constant communication with the air traffic controllers, with the airline associations, and with them, we urge Democrats to please pass the continuing resolution so we can just end this madness and this chaos and reopen the government. These are very avoidable consequences. The unnecessary pain, unfortunately, does not end there. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP, which provides food benefits to low-income families, is beginning to lapse this week in some states. If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st. That is next week. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded health care benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals: rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. since I've found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue.
Okay, by the way, I'm sorry I'm pausing it, but guess what, folks? Guess what? Immigrants pay into taxes. They pay far more in taxes to the government than they get out of it. They actually bring in a net revenue to the government. And a lot of the shit she said isn't really true anyway. So, okay.
To seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples for you.
By the way, Plant Sunshine, at some point, I would like to hear now, Plant Sunshine, I'm not trying to make assumptions about you, but you are from Morocco. I'm assuming you're probably Muslim. If you're not, forgive me. But I am curious to see how are things going in the Netherlands, because God knows Islamophobia is rampant everywhere right now. And I know there's been some far right parties popping up all around Europe. Would be curious about your take on that. You don't have to give it to me if you don't want to. Just something I've been curious about.
These are examples of some of the illegals who received Medicaid benefits under President Biden's leadership, and this is what Democrats are wanting to do. This is why they are continuing to keep the government closed. An illegal alien from Laos was arrested for murder, robbery, and felony possession of a firearm. An illegal alien from Guatemala who was arrested for rape and burglary. An illegal alien from El Salvador who was arrested for strangulation, DUI, and burglary. An illegal alien from Mexico who was arrested for attempted murder. The Democrats' open border policies allowed
She keeps looking off to the left. They actually have a screen where they're putting up images of immigrants. I mean, we can guess. Yeah, we can guess that it's like brown people and things like that. You know, scary brown people mugshot type things, which is a classic Republican thing to do.
Threats into our
and
country,
Democrats,
and then
to be honest.
Provided them with free health care.
Exactly.
The president and Republicans, through the One Big Beautiful Bill, implemented a common sense reform to end this fraudulent scheme. But that's why the Democrats are continuing to shut down the federal government. They are trying to reverse this and restore taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens like these. Throughout this shutdown, Democrats have said this quiet part out loud.
Oh, absolutely.
Senator Chuck Schumer, the leader of the caucus that is refusing to open the government, said, quote,
"Hey, I support that. Yeah, put up an image of Chuck Schumer, okay?"
Every day gets better as the shutdown continues. Ask the air traffic controllers if every day is getting better, Senator Schumer, and they will tell you absolutely not. House Democrat Catherine Clark said, "There are going to be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously, but this is one of the few leverage points that we have." Here is a House Democrat.
Right, so what about the big beautiful bill which cut Medicaid for thousands, if not millions of Americans?
And Senator Bernie Sanders said, if you reopen the government, we lose our leverage.
What about this? What about that?
Pure partisan games. A senior Democrat aide said the party will not end the shutdown, quote, short of planes falling out of the sky. That is truly a disturbing statement. The Democrats clearly don't care about this suffering. They care about playing political games against President Trump, and this dangerous charade needs to end. The president and Republicans' position has been clear and unchanged. Pass a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to reopen the government. And then we can talk about all of the partisan issues that the Democrats wish to. If you're watching at home, we urge you to call your Democrat senators and tell them to put our country over their party and reopen the government today. Here in our new media seat, we have Brittany Gibson of Axios. Brittany, why don't you start us off for our Q&A today? Thank you for being here.
Two questions, if I may, Caroline. First is, we understand that the president and Republicans will not negotiate on ACA extensions until the government reopens.
Yeah, you should,
If and when that happens,
yeah.
What does the president think should be, or what are his plans for preventing rising healthcare costs for Americans?
It's a very good question, and I'll leave that to the president to negotiate that when Democrats vote to reopen the government. When it comes to lowering healthcare costs, the president is deeply committed to this. It's why he has spent so much time and effort negotiating with Big Pharma to lower the healthcare costs of prescription drugs. All of you have been in the Oval Office for multiple different announcements. We've had these most favored nations deals with these large pharmaceutical companies committing to lowering drug costs in this country. So it's something the president wants to do. And Brittany, one more point. I'll just point out the irony in Democrats holding the government and the American public hostage over a healthcare system that they created. The healthcare system was called Obamacare. Why? Because Democrats and President Obama implemented. And Republicans have always said it's a broken
tired of this.
system,
By the
yes,
way,
but they
hello, so
caused
tired
it.
of this.
And
Welcome
now
to the
they want
chat
to
here.
shut down the government to fix
Okay.
it. We need to open the government, and then we can have these very important conversations about healthcare.
Golly boy, I'm doing well, thank you.
Foreign students. During the campaign, President Trump said he wanted to make it easier for foreign students to work at U.S. companies.
Apparently, big
a
brain.
green card to every diploma.
Pizza, hello, pizza. Sorry that you had to see that when you got in your pizza.
Are any more obstacles to that? The administration
This is live, by the way, folks.
Changes. Can you explain the changes in the president's thinking on
Yeah, which is good, Alan.
The administration will fight these lawsuits in court. The president's main priority.
Really fast, folks. Alan says a report came in that many centrist Democrats would have already voted to open the government, but they're worried about pushback from the voting base. That is a good sign, Alan. That is a good sign. That means that the voting base wants them to take more drastic actions, and they're being convinced by the pushback they're getting. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get too excited, but that is a good sign.
Priority has always been to put American workers first, and also to strengthen our visa system. We know for far too long the H-1B visa system has been spammed with fraud, basically, and that's driven down American wages. So the president wants to refine this system, which is part of the reason he implemented these new policies. These actions are lawful. They
people
are
should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of their people.
Garrett.
You all know what that comes from, I think.
Sure.
On the pardon of Changpeng Zhao, and apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name, Binance has significant business interests with World Liberty Financial, the president's family's crypto company. How do you respond to the allegations from Democrats that this is a corrupt act?
I would respond and say the president is exercising his constitutional authority to grant clemency requests. And the president and the White House have a very thorough examination of every pardon request that comes to the president's
They have a
desk.
thorough...
It is thoroughly reviewed by the White House Counsel Office.
They blanket pardon the Jan 6 rioters, including ones who attacked police. That doesn't sound like a thorough review to me.
This was an overly prosecuted case by the Biden administration. Even the judge in the case admitted that the Biden administration was pursuing a egregious over-sentencing of this individual, and the previous administration was very hostile to the cryptocurrency industry. So the president wants to correct this overreach of the Biden administration's misjustice, and he exercised his constitutional authority to do so. And to the Democrats,
I'm
I would
so
just
sorry,
say,
Plant Sunshine. I didn't mean to bring up a sore point.
Than what President Biden did on his way out the door, pardoning
salam
his
there,
corrupt
Plant
son,
Sunshine. Just
and
know
many of his
we all
associates.
support you. I know we may not be able to directly support you, but if you join our Discord, we might be able to help you out in some way. I don't know what we could do. I know we all respect you as a human being, Plant Sunshine, regardless of what those fascist monsters over there may think of you.
Will the White House commit to releasing all of the donors and how much they're spending and how much of his own money the president is putting on the line to this?
We have released the full list of donors thus far. Perhaps there will be more people who want to generously contribute to this project. And the president, yes, has committed his own resources. And when he releases that information, which I'm very confident he will, you will all see that.
We'll see a dollar figure from the president?
Yes, he will. And I would also just add the president has been incredibly transparent. I would reject any notion otherwise when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into and has talked with all of you in this room many times about. You have seen the model in the Oval Office. Last night he showed that for you. But when this plan was presented and when these renderings, as soon as they were complete, the president directed me to come out here and to share them with all of you. I did an entire opening remarks about what this ballroom project was going to look like. With any construction project, there are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of all of those changes.
I know, Alan. Real fast, folks. After Plant Sunshine comment here, Plant Sunshine said, yes, I'm a Muslim woman who wears the hijab, and it's painful to see how the far right and fascist ideas are gaining more space in the Netherlands. It breaks my heart. I try to focus on the good. Alan, by the way, also posted this. Now, Alan told me this a few days ago, that Portugal also just voted to ban burqas in public. Is that not a blatant overstep of freedom of religion / expression? I don't know if they have a First Amendment there, but still. Yeah, Alan. So there are laws like that, but they typically, in Europe, they typically have an amendment that says except as regulated. except where regulated by the government. So that gives them more space to do those things. But folks, we are seeing like all around the world a massive like Islamophobic crackdown. Uh, in the US, we're seeing it. In Europe, we're seeing it. It's really scary. I've had multiple Muslim folks from around the world send me private message, not multiple. That's an exaggeration. Two. There's been ones that have done it during live stream, and then there have been 3 or 2 who have sent me private messages to tell me about their struggles overseas. One was from the UK, another one was in France. Like, it scares me. We need to support our Muslim brothers and sisters all across the world. Okay, they are human beings. And we ought not to mention all the dehumanization happening against Muslims, especially, what we've seen between Israel and Palestine and stuff. Anyway, okay, I'll be quiet now. But hey, Drusilla, how you doing, Drusilla? So just a side note there. Please stand up for your Muslim brothers and sisters.
The process, this is going to be a magnificent addition
Demosthenes,
to the
hey!
White House for many years to come, and it's not costing the taxpayers anything. The president is privately funding this ballroom addition to the White House grounds. Jennifer.
To follow up on that, one thing that's not in the president's model is the East Wing bunker, the president's emergency operations center. Can you say if his update, that $300 million, does that include the cost for upgrading that bunker?
Look, like any security enhancements that are made on the White House grounds, those will be made and maintained by United States Secret Service. As for the cost
Anytime,
of the
Plant
ballroom
Sunshine.
and the construction itself, all of that is going to be, like I've said, privately funded and paid for by the president himself and many generous patriots who have stepped up.
Included in that funding?
Correct.
Okay, and then can you say, well, that's all right, I'll skip that one.
Oh my God, Big
Thanks.
Braden, that's
We just-
disgusting.
So the White House
Meowsord.
has explained that the
Fashionably
reason we
late
didn't
as always,
submit
Meowsord.
construction plans to the NCPC
Okay.
is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction.
I know, Alan.
And so far, you haven't
Right,
built
London.
anything. So can you help us understand, can the president
Could be
tear
both,
down
Alan.
anything he wants without
Are you
oversight?
serious,
Can he
Luke? There
demolish
was a
this
ban
building or say
on
the Jefferson
turbans,
Memorial?
hijabs,
So
kippas
it's
in
not
Quebec.
the
That's
president
insane.
who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been
God, if
held
Tiago
by
was here, I
the
would agree with him
NCPC
about the
for
French
many
then,
years.
huh?
It's written, so we can get you that
French
background and that
origin.
research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is
Jesus,
very
Big Brain.
important. They have ruled consistently. Their general counsel has said, when
Right,
it comes
Jasnaz,
to,
right.
phase 1 of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for
But
vertical
admittedly, Jasnaz, I think this is the most damage that's been done to the White House since the British burned it down.
construction. Will a submission be required? And
That's
a
okay,
legal
Meow. I
opinion
don't
from
care,
them,
Meowsord.
and we
You
are
know,
following
you
that
got a
legal
life. I
opinion.
get
And
it.
again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds?
Yeah,
There
JDH.
have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years. I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East
but
Wing
for
is
a
going
ballroom?
to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold
Big, beautiful
parties and
ballroom,
state visits
yeah.
for generations to come.
So it sounds like the
I know,
answer
yeah.
is
Screw him
yes,
for,
he can tear down
going over
and then
the.
secondly,
Right?
I mean,
Yeah,
That's not
exactly,
what we're
Pizza.
saying. That's
Thank
a
you.
legal opinion that's been held for many years. And
interpreting it.
no, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you. for
Right,
that,
Maxim.
To show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing
Yeah,
in
Drusilla,
1902.
Oh my God!
Look
Look,
at this, the
look, guys!
construction of
Look,
the West
she brought up a
Terrace in
bunch of like
1902. These
pictures to
images
be like,
quite
look,
similar to what
look.
you and the American people are seeing today. The construction of the East Terrace, as well. You look at the
Oh my
construction
God,
of the West
Victoria,
Wing
I am
expansion
so
in
sorry.
1934. So,
Really,
look,
guys, I'm
this is a
sorry.
legal opinion.
Forgive me for shutting up the Nazi Barbie. I need to. We got some more important comments here in chat. This is our very own Victoria here. Said as a Parta person, if you watch CR's video on Brazil, I'm always randomly selected in European and U.S. airports, and I'm Brazilian. I can only imagine what it must feel like for people who are Muslim. Yeah, so disgusting, Victoria. Uh, Anyway. This is horrifying. I'm sorry. I'm looking through some of these comments now because I got a lot all at once here. Okay, I'll continue this. Hopefully this is almost over. For folks who have just come in, I just started streaming early so we could watch this, and then I have a lesson right after this is over, and we got some other stuff to do. But I just did this to see because it's been a while since I've watched one of these. Okay.
And that's been held for many years. Look this is 1950.
Yes,
it looks a
those are
lot
the
like what you were
constructions.
seeing today.
Can he demolish
Right,
anything
pizza?
he wants?
What do you think
without
that
oversight?
rubble is? How did that rubble?
Welcome,
get there?
Melissa. It's just
Right, so I'm asking, and then back to the donors.
Go ahead, Reagan.
Many of them are.
Reagan, go ahead.
Alyssa. It's just a normal everyday press conference.
It's being reported that the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash is an illegal immigrant who came in under the Biden administration. Do you know if California gave him a commercial driver's license? And then it also appears that California largely has not been cooperating with English proficiency standards. I'm wondering if the administration has any further plans to punish the state.
Yes, I can confirm that California gave this individual a license, and it is something that the Department of Transportation has already looked into. I know Secretary Duffy, who's doing a phenomenal job, has spoken on this many times in the crackdown that the Department of Transportation is taking on these licenses that are wrongfully being issued to people who clearly do not deserve to uphold these positions. As for this case in California, on October 22nd, ICE lodged an immigration detainer for this individual following his arrest by local authorities in California on charges, as you know, of manslaughter while intoxicated and driving under the influence. He killed 3 people.
Has anyone seen the South Park?
And he first entered the United States in 2022.
Where there's the police officer pulling over someone and they pull out this piece of paper that has the different skin colors on it.
ICE has lodged a separate detainer for this individual,
the
and these
ones that are
tragedies
white
are following a disturbing pattern of these criminal
I'm waiting
illegal
for her to
aliens
do that, to
being
pull that
issued,
out
commercial
and hold it
vehicle
next to the
licenses. And
picture
so, yes, the Department
of the
Transportation is absolutely cracking down on that. I defer to them.
hold it next to the picture of these immigrants and be like, see, look, like I would not be
this
surprised.
administration is continuing to position more military assets towards Venezuela.
It
I'm
is
wondering
Brazil.
if the
I've
end
never
goal
happened to
of
me either,
this
Brazil. I've
narco-terrorist
never
war is to
been
implement
picked
a
out for
regime
that.
change in Venezuela.
The president has spoken on that, Reagan, and I certainly won't get ahead of him. What we've made very clear is that this administration
Did I
is
say
not
Family
going
Guy? I
to
thought I said Family Guy. Did I say South Park accidentally?
international narco-terrorist organizations from trafficking drugs into the United States. And these cartels over time have grown more armed, well-organized, and violent. They have financial means, sophistication, and capabilities needed to operate in the way this administration has. And they have illegally caused the deaths of tens of thousands of American citizens each year. So that's where we are right now with respect to Venezuela, but also any country that is sending purposefully illegal narco-terrorists to the United States of America to bring illegal drugs. Why don't we go in the back?
The U.S. and Colombian relationship right now is at one of its lowest points in decades. We heard what President Gustavo Petro had to say about President Trump. We heard yesterday the response from President Trump. Is there any kind of compromises or gestures from the Colombian president that President Trump would like to see in order to de-escalate tensions? Is it possible?
Right, Maxim?
De-escalation?
I don't think we're seeing de-escalation from the unhinged leader of Colombia right now, and I don't think the president, frankly, is interested in that at this point. He spoke on this yesterday, and I don't have anything to add to his comments. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry.
It's true.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge,
right,
no. But he's a builder
so
at heart, clearly. And so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is
he's pretty
the
cool, Big
president's main
Braden.
priority. Kristen.
Last week, President Trump announced that he had a productive call with Vladimir Putin. They scheduled a meeting in Hungary. Since then, he has canceled the meeting.
Of course, they're meeting in Hungary. For the Europeans, you know what that means, right? Orban.
That led to this dramatic shift, or even just what occurred in the last week that got us from point A to point B.
Sure. Look, the president has always maintained that he would implement sanctions on Russia when he felt it was appropriate and necessary. And yesterday was that day. I think the president has also long expressed his frustration with Vladimir Putin and, frankly, both sides of this war. And he's always said in order to negotiate a good peace deal, both sides need to be interested in a good peace deal. And he feels as though, unfortunately, from the Russian side as of late, he has not seen enough interest and enough action in terms of moving the ball forward towards peace.
Exactly,
so
in your group.
A meeting between these two leaders is not completely off the table. I think the president and the entire administration hopes that one day that can happen again, but we want to make sure that there's a tangible, positive outcome out of that meeting.
And I would edit that, Victoria. She also called him unhinged because Colombia isn't being America's vassal state. They're not doing what the United States wants them to do. And so that pisses us off, or pisses off our government. But you're right, Victoria. Yeah.
In that it's a good use of the president's time. Of course, he's traveling to Asia next week. He has a number of events coming up here on the home front as well.
I know, Druzel, it's
He's been
insane.
incredibly busy, as you all know. You're all tired from covering him and his movements every day. And so we want to make sure it's a good use of the president's time, and the president doesn't want to waste his time, and he said that.
The call between the Secretary of State and Lavrov that led President Trump to believe that President Putin or the Russians did not want a peace deal.
That was not the sole reason, no. I think the Secretary Rubio felt that was actually a productive call. But again,
Pizza, I've not thought of that.
Sure
Maybe
that a meeting
I'll have to think more about that.
himself
It's an
and,
interesting
President
point.
Putin will be a good use of his time.
But what exactly led to President Trump not believing after his call on Thursday, where he said he did think he wanted peace and wanted a peace deal, to believing that Russians were not?
Again, the president wants to see action, not just talk. And I think the president
Remember,
is
action for
motivated
action's
by the
sake. That is one of the tenets of
his
fascism.
Peace deal in the Middle East to get things done, and he wants this war to come to an end. He's been saying it now for 9 months, being in office, and he's grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress from both sides of this war. Mary,
for example.
I'm sorry, Brazil. Let me see what you said. I may have missed it.
You mentioned any construction project comes with changes. The president had initially said that this project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure. Now he says to do this properly, he realized that the East Wing had to be demolished. This is the people's house. Why not inform the public of that change and when it was decided that the East Wing would have to be demolished?
Look, again, with any construction project.
Oh, Drusilla, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And we have informed all of you. We've been keeping you apprised of this project. We've
no,
shown
I
you
don't
the
think,
renderings.
Drusilla, I don't think so. I mean,
it's very clear the East Wing
unless
was going
they're
to be
willing to
modernized.
quit
Instead,
as soon as they're asked to do something immoral.
In the briefing, when we initially
that would be
introduced
helpful
this plan to all of you and to the public.
If people got hired by them and then quit, but most of the time, those $50,000 bonuses, you have to be in the office for a certain amount of time and actually arrest people before they'll give it to you. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question? Sorry, Drusilla, I was reading it so quickly.
This phase one that we're now in was necessary, and the president wants to do right by the people's house, and so that's exactly what he's doing. It's going to be, again, like I said, much more stable, strong, secure, and more beautiful than ever once it's complete.
More beautiful than ever.
The First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office.
In the East Wing.
They will be back.
Interesting, Luke.
Perfect.
Thank you. Cattle ranchers who supported the president's election have raised some concerns about plans to...
Okay, hopefully this is almost over so we can get on to the lesson. But
support those farmers.
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. President loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers. And he wants to do right by both.
Finally, a president willing to take action and deliver the killing blow to democracy, right? Gotta love that action, right?
We have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports. But the president also is looking out for our ranchers with a long-term plan that was released by the Secretary of Agriculture yesterday. It's a 3-part plan. It's very extensive and detailed. I would encourage all of you to read through it.
After
there's
the
really
first time.
3 points to this plan that the president has agreed upon and has entrusted Secretary Rollins to implement. Number 1, strengthening U.S. cattle production through increased grazing access, endangered species reforms, enhanced disaster relief,
exactly,
increased
Alan.
access
They didn't
to
make the
capital,
mistake of
and
putting
reducing
anyone
for
that
new
could.
and young
They
ranchers.
only
We
put
want
them
to
loyalists this
incentivize more
time.
Americans to get into this noble
Which is classic
profession.
authoritarian
Lowering
behavior.
long-term costs by
Which
cutting
also
inspection
reduces the
costs,
competence
increasing
of the
market
government, which is
options
why we see
for
so much
consumers
incompetence
with product
now.
of USA labeling and ensuring consumers know that they are eating American beef. It's a good incentive for the American consumer. And lastly, growing the domestic herd while boosting long-term demand to reduce prices for consumers while growing the markets for our ranchers. So President hears them. He has to address both of these problems for the ranchers, but also for the American consumer. He promised to lower costs, and that's what he's committed to doing.
Caroline. Thank you. Two questions not on the ballroom. The first is, there's a Democrat in Texas who's actually running for Congress who said last night during an interview when talking about fighting Republicans and this administration, quote, "If you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck." This has obviously really upset those folks over at Turning Point USA after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just your response to that kind of rhetoric.
Just very jarring rhetoric, and I think it's very unacceptable. I hope the people of Texas will do the right thing and reject this person's candidacy. It should have no place in American politics.
Don't look at me that way, Drusilla.
Question on oversight Democrats that are saying that they're creating this master ICE tracker,
brain, you're right. You know what I meant by big brain.
Activity. We've seen the protests in New York just yesterday. Homeland Security is saying that this sounds like obstruction of justice. What do you say?
Again, this is actively putting the lives of our ICE agents at risk. We've seen media outlets, in fact, in this room, also write stories
heavily
about
armed
ICE
agents.
tracker apps that
they're so under
Democrats
risk.
and other left-wing activists have created to track the location of ICE agents on the ground in our communities. Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to say it. The men and women of ICE are outstanding people. I wish a Democrat on Capitol Hill would actually have the courage or the guts to stand up to their party and sit down with some of these men and women who are doing this incredibly difficult job of enforcing our federal immigration laws. They are, again, simply trying to enforce the law and do their jobs. And if Democrats spent a little bit more time understanding that and also focusing on the people who they are trying to get out of our country every single day. As I spoke about earlier, 3 innocent people in California are dead because an illegal alien who Democrats let into this country was wrongfully issued a trucker's driving license and clearly was not fit for the job because he was driving intoxicated and killed 3 innocent people. Democrats should focus a little bit more on that. Stop trying to fight this president and this administration on every turn and restore law and order. That's all that we and
just
these
lie
brave
down
men
like
and
a
women of ICE
slug.
are
That's
trying
what
to
she
do.
wants them to do.
Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions, one on San Francisco and one on the No Kings protesters.
Oh my God, you're so right, Nels.
The president said that he had a call with the mayor and he was planning on surging there, but now because the mayor really wants to fix it up himself, they're going to do that. Is this what Trump hopes happens in pretty much every city?
The president hopes, and I've said this so many times, and I think the president's conversation with the San Francisco mayor last night and his statement today prove the president is willing to work with anyone across the aisle, across the country, to do the right thing and clean up America's cities. He is genuinely interested in this
You see that, like, not that Nazi language there? The Nazis had a phrase called racial hygiene.
And
got to
he
clean
heard
up
from
the
the mayor
race a
last
bit.
night, who told him that
Just
he is
that
going
use
to
of language is so
earnestly try
dehumanizing.
to make his city better on his own. The president heard him out. He said, "Okay, I'll give you a chance. We'll be watching, and if you need us, we're here. And if I feel as though you continue to fail your citizens, the federal government may have to step in." But we'll continue to watch San Francisco, and that law enforcement operation has now been paused.
Thank you. And then on the No Kings protesters, I saw videos of people explicitly calling for violence against
folks.
Stephen Miller, against
5
the
more minutes.
president,
If it doesn't end by then, I'm just going to stop and go on to the lesson, okay?
Does the president want to see arrests
I'm sure
here,
he does,
and
Alan.
are we
Come
going
on.
to see arrests
Come
of
on,
these types
Alan. Of course he
explicit
does.
calls to violence?
I would think myself, the president, and everyone here at the White House certainly hopes that anyone who is making violent and illegal threats in that way against public officials will be arrested and prosecuted.
Sure. Thank you. 2 questions. Would the president support the Senate ending the legislative filibuster to end the shutdown?
This is something I haven't heard the president talk about much, so I don't want to speak on him for it. I'll let him answer that question himself.
And do you have an update on the NASA administrator nominee? Do you plan to nominate anyone soon? Or does the president nominate anyone soon? Sorry.
I'll leave that to the president himself. He'll make a decision in due time.
Very
and
big
when
brain.
he does, you will hear directly from him.
Isn't it, Drusilla? It's disgusting.
Back, we'll give our friends in the back a chance. Yes.
As you mentioned at the top of the briefing, USDA has warned that it will run out of funds to pay full SNAP benefits next month if the shutdown continues. Senator Hawley is floating a bill that would ensure SNAP benefits are continued to pay during the shutdown. Would the president support such a move? And you
Although
also
admittedly,
announced
JDH,
that
it's
the
like
administration was
it's been
using
so
tariff revenue to
defunded.
keep WIC
Like,
going
is it
during the
really there
shutdown. How
anyway?
long
Okay,
will
I know
that
I'm
last?
exaggerating,
And
but
is
you're
anything
totally right.
similar being
We need
considered
more
for
funding
SNAP?
in NASA,
Yes,
not
the
less. And we need to
administration would absolutely
remove the
support that
partnership with
legislation.
private
We
companies,
hope
in
that
my
it would
opinion.
come over the finish line, but the bill that will get everyone paid and put everyone back to work is the clean continuing resolution. That's what the president and Republicans want to see. Ed, go ahead, Ed.
Thanks, Carolyn. On the Russian sanctions again, how much pressure do you think that this sanctioning these two Russian companies actually puts on President Putin? Because the last administration
Alan, I
sanctioned
don't
two other
know.
oil
It's actually
companies.
something
How
I'm
much
not sure
pressure is
about.
this really?
It kind of is
A lot.
shocking
If
me.
you read the sanctions and look at them, they're pretty hefty. And I saw some international news out of China this morning
Luke.
that they're scaling back oil purchases from Russia. We know India has done the same at the request of the president. The president has also pushed European countries, our allies, to please stop
That's
their
gross,
purchases
Luke.
of Russian oil as well. So it's full court press for sure. And we expect that these sanctions are going to do harm, as the Secretary of Treasury said yesterday.
Could there be more? Is this just the first step, or could there be more sanctions?
I'll leave that to the president to decide. Sure.
Video or heard the NBA gambling involved in the gambling issue there. Does
Yeah,
the president
JDH.
gamble? What does he think about that?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't think he does. I've been with him quite some time, and I have not seen him gamble before. I don't think he's a big gambler, but you can ask him yourself.
I mean, he's
the
good
next
at
time you have a
gambling with
chance
other
to,
people's
Ed.
money, right?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Carolyn. I've got two
Hi,
quick
Jake,
questions.
and then we'll go to you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Two quick questions. Back to the ballroom. It is a very spectacular ballroom, according
Thank
to the
you.
renderings. And if it's half as
Yeah,
nice as the
right,
one in Mar-a-Lago,
Demosthenes.
then future presidents are really
That's why I
going to
think it should
appreciate
only be
They
publicly
will.
owned. I hate the
Jake,
First of
partnerships.
all, is there like an official name? Like, are we calling it the Trump Ballroom, or does the president have a vision for what the name for the ballroom is going to be?
There will be an official name. I will let the president announce
It'll
that.
probably
once
be
he
named after some corporation. It'll be like the Raytheon Ballroom
looking
or
at
like
these
the
renderings,
Lockheed
and
Martin
it kinda
Ballroom
got
or
me
some
thinking,
shit.
He's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot
No,
of those
I agree,
meetings with
Meowser.
him.
I've never liked
Has,
press
to
conferences
your-
like this. It's just
your
propaganda
knowledge,
shit.
Has the subject of
course they are,
rebuilding
Alan.
the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
Alan, I will say, I think sports are interesting in terms of politics. I don't necessarily watch a lot of them, but but you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, the NRA, right, Big Brain? The NRA presents the White House Ballroom. The
I won't
Disney,
get
but
ahead
like,
of that. That's something for Treasury or the Departments of Commerce to comment on, so you're welcome to ask them.
yeah, absolutely, Luke. You're so right, Luke.
Any more details on the president's Walter Reed visit? The readout from his doctor mentioned advanced imaging.
Yeah, sure.
What
did he say?
procedure was he referring to?
What did that journalist
I've
say?
been with him
I'm sorry.
quite some time, and I have not. Yes, the administration would absolutely support that legislation. We hope that it would come over the finish line, but the bill that will get everyone
I says he
paid and put
apparently-
everyone back to work is the clean continuing resolution. That's what the president and Republicans want to see.
Oh, jeez, that's a good point,
Ed,
Drusilla.
go ahead, Ed.
Thanks, Carolyn. On the Russian sanctions again, how much pressure do you think that this sanctioning these two Russian companies actually puts on
Wait, did I
President
go
Putin? Because the
far
last
enough
administration,
there?
Also,
I want to hear that Jerusalem
according
temple
to the
comment.
renderings, and
Here we go.
that to the president to decide. Sure.
video or heard the NBA gambling involved in the gambling issue there. Does the
Forgive me, folks. I may have gone. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, sorry,
I've
folks.
been with him quite some time, and I have not seen him gamble before. I don't think he's a big
One
gambler.
second, folks.
But you can ask him yourself the next time you have a chance to, Ed. Go ahead.
Thank you, Carolyn. I've got two
Hi,
quick
Jake,
questions.
and then we'll go to you. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Two quick questions. Back to the ballroom. It is a very spectacular ballroom, according
Thank
to the
you.
renderings. And if it's half as nice as the one
Give
in
me a second,
Mar-a-Lago,
folks.
then future presidents are really going to appreciate it.
They will. Thank you, Jake. for
First of all,
saying so.
is there like an official name? Like, are we calling it the Trump Ballroom, or does the president have a vision for what the name for the ballroom is going to be?
There will be an official name. I will let the president announce that once he firmly decides on it.
Question is, looking at these renderings, and it kind of got me thinking. He's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot of those meetings with him. Has, to your knowledge, has the subject of rebuilding the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that? Oh my God. That is so blatantly like, like that blows my mind. Like, honestly, that blows my mind. Who, You would ask the president of the United States to rebuild a temple in a foreign country for some weird religious prophecy reason that has a genocidal intent hidden underneath it. That is absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe, Meowsord, that I missed that the first time. This is why I talk too much. I mean, am I going crazy here? Like, did you all hear that shit? And look at that smile on her face. I mean, oh my God, that blows my mind. Apparently, Doug. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see what else they say. That disgusting. Okay. And honestly, it probably was a Christian Zionist that asked that question. But like, and remember, folks, yeah, RPB, the idea here is that you rebuild the temple to bring about the end of the world. And by the way, it is an anti-Semitic belief too, because for the Christians that believe that, the majority of the Jews will go straight into hell. So, okay, I'm sorry, that just absolutely blew my mind. I can't believe I missed that the first time. All right, okay, hang on, Meowsord. Okay.
It has not. I don't. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
Caroline, on the CC pardon, could this clear the way for Binance to resume U.S. operations?
I won't get ahead of that. That's something for Treasury or the Departments of Commerce to comment on, so you're welcome to ask them.
And then one follow-up question.
Jesus.
Any more details on the president's Walter
Yeah,
visit?
Doug.
The readout from his doctor mentioned advanced imaging. What procedure was he referring to?
Advanced imaging is something that presidents receive and people receive when they go to the doctor. And so we provide a detailed readout of that physical, and I would encourage you back to that. Presidents and I don't know the exact imaging that took place, but as the physician's note said, the president is in incredibly good shape, and I think that's evidenced here every single day.
Folks, who is this? Is that their actual name, Meowsord? Jake Turks?
I just wanted to ask, because in July, the White House said that it would cost $200 million. Yesterday, the president said $300 million. Is $300 million now the operative figure? And why did it go up by so much?
$300 million is the figure. And again, it's not going to cost the taxpayers a dime. So we look forward to this project continuing, and we will continue to keep everyone apprised on it. Perhaps the president will even...
Contributor at Newsmax. Jake Turks is. Okay. He's also he's the first Hasidic Jew to be a member of the White House press corps. So I guess he is Jewish. He's not Christian, but I mean, he certainly sounds like a Christian Zionist. He's just he's a Jewish Zionist. There tend to be, forgive me, I'm just reading here. Yeah. He's been, he's in a, he's also apparently been bribed by Azerbaijan because he denies Azerbaijan has done anything wrong to Nagorno-Karabakh. Okay, anyway, sorry, what a bizarre thing. All right.
Bring you all out to see it one day at the appropriate time. You're also going to hear from the president directly in about an hour. He's hosting an event with the Homeland Security Task Force. This was a newly created federal task force that the president and his law enforcement team have put together. I would encourage you all to tune in to the remarks. They have really done a tremendous job at refocusing how federal law enforcement and local law enforcement work together. There will be some local sheriffs and law enforcement officials in attendance as well, and they'll be talking about the success and the many arrests they have made of drug traffickers and cartel members all across
and folks,
the
let me point out, I want to say, I know I mentioned he was a Hasidic Jew. I'm not trying to claim that like Hasidic Jews are automatically vicious as murderous Zionists. Okay, there's just an interesting thing we saw there because I originally said he was Christian. He's actually Jewish, but still gross Zionist genocidal talking point.
By just simply working together. So we will see you at the event. Thank you.
All right, thank God that's over. All right. Oh my God. All right. All right. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, that's over. God, what that thing at the end just really blew my brains. Like, anyway. Yeah, exactly, guy. Like, I did. I shouldn't have been like, oh yeah, he's Hasidic Jewish. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to imply something by that. You all know what I mean. Okay. As I've said before, being Jewish is separate from being a Zionist. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Um. All right. So, uh, let us. First of all, folks. If we get 2 more super chats, I'll put on the makeup. If we get up to 7, I will do a Q&A. If we get to 10, I'll do a Jester After Dark stream. For those that are watching now, just let me do my little spiel here, folks. For those that are watching now, if you uh yeah, Luke, you're right. And by the way, there are actually a lot of ultra-Orthodox Jewish people who can't stand Zionists, okay? Anyway, um okay. So they so then if you're watching, if you're over on Twitch, please follow me, or you can subscribe for free using Amazon Prime, and send me some of Jeff Bezos' money. If you're on YouTube, you can become a member for as little as 99 cents a month by clicking the join button, and you get access to cute little member-only emojis and a nice cute little jester hat next to your name, which you will also get over on Twitch. And if you do subscribe on Twitch, you will not get any more ads. Okay. Okay. So, all right, guys. So we have thank you so much, Demosthenes. That'll definitely cover the copay there, Demosthenes. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. All right, one more, folks. I'll put on the makeup. Okay. So God, that blew my mind, folks. That last bit here. There. Okay. So, folks, thank you for watching that with me. We'll get on to the main show here. Okay. That was sort of a nice little I guess preview. Yeah, this does not sound like an anti-Zionist case, okay, for sure, okay? All right. All right, so, I got a presentation for you. First thing, folks, tomorrow we're having another Kahoot, okay? It'll be the first Kahoot we've had in several weeks, I think 2 weeks, okay? Right after I finish this, I'll do a quick little review of the things that are gonna be on it. You know me, I do my little teacher bit. This stuff won't be on it because it was the day before, but we are going to have a Kahoot tomorrow. Okay. So be prepared. Be prepared. Okay. You got it, Toy. That's what I was telling you, Toy. I'm like, wait till you see what we're talking about today, Victoria. Okay. Thank you, Maxime, for becoming a resistor. Okay. Or Maxime. Maxim. Okay. My apologies. I messed it up again. Okay. So let's talk about this, folks. Let's talk about pedagogy of the oppressed, Paulo Freire, and education as liberation. Before I begin, okay. Well, not before I begin. We'll begin. So Paulo Freire, okay. Oh my God, Victoria, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. I'm already messing it up. Drizella, you better get on it. You better get on it, Drizella. Okay. Okay, that's fair, Demosthenes. Okay. So this guy that we're going to talk about is my hero. Yeah, he's one of my heroes. He is probably the thinker that has most inspired my own teaching style. And I want to point out, folks, that while I'm talking about this, try to see how, like, when I've been teaching all of you, or like how I interact with you and stuff. Try to see if you can see. You'll be able to see, how I do things in what he said. Okay, so and to some extent, so just keep an eye out for that. See if you can match up. Paulo Freire. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Paulo Freire. Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. So just keep an eye. You'll be able to see some similarities. That's because I took a lot of how I do my teaching from his thinking. Okay, so let's talk about him. Okay, so this is him. There you go, big brain. This is who I learned to be a cult leader from. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so Paulo Freire was a Brazilian educator, okay, and philosopher whose work revolutionized global thought on education. Okay, and we're going to go into what that means. During his childhood, he has an amazing life story. Okay, during his childhood and adolescence, Freire ended up 4 grades behind. No, it's okay, Drusilla. A lot of people haven't heard of him. And I know, Drusilla, as I recall, don't you have an engineering background? So especially people who are not in the social sciences haven't heard of him, and even people in a lot of people in the social sciences haven't heard of him. I never heard about him when I was getting my teaching education, and you'll see why. Because, well, okay, he should be talked about, but he's not because he's a bit too against the status quo. Okay. All right. So during his childhood and adolescence, Freire ended up 4 grades behind, okay, in his teaching, in his schooling. Hello, Mithril. And his social life revolved around playing pickup football with other poor children, okay, from whom he claims to have learned a great deal. It actually partially inspired him, okay? It inspired him to he taught him a lot about what it meant to be living in poverty and how it affects people and how they learn, okay? These experiences shaped his concerns for the poor. So it really affected his perception of people of low income, people who are poor, okay? And it kind of helped him start to construct his own particular educational viewpoint, okay? Freire stated that poverty and hunger severely affected his ability to learn. Now, remember, he was 4 grades behind, okay? Not because he was somehow less intelligent than anyone else, okay? It was because he was living in poverty. Uh, and he and had to deal with hunger and things like that, okay? Uh, okay. Hey, I get it, Drizella. No, it's good that you have an engine. Engineering is a positive, okay? It's good to have that degree. I'm just saying a lot of people in like the hard sciences haven't heard of him. Even people in the social sciences haven't heard of him. Okay. Uh, all right. So that's him. Now, I have some quotes of his in here. Okay. So that was sort of his early life experience. This is what he said. He has a bunch of great quotes. I didn't understand anything because of my hunger. I wasn't dumb. It wasn't lack of interest. My social condition didn't allow me to have an education. Experience showed me once again the relationship between social class and knowledge. Uh, so, um, like the relationship between class and knowledge. Okay. Um, all right. All right. So I'm not going to go much into that. You can kind of get it. It makes sense, right? All right. So Freire actually enrolled in a law school, at the University of Recife in 1943. He also studied a few other things, okay, while he was there. However, he ended up getting his legal license. He actually was admitted to the bar, but then he never ended up practicing law. I mean, instead, he worked as a secondary teacher, teaching. He worked as a secondary school Portuguese teacher. Portuguese teacher. Okay, so he could have gone on and made a pretty good life as a pretty good life as a lawyer, getting lots of money for that. But instead, he decided to become a teacher and teach Portuguese. Okay. Um, okay. So, um, oh, I'm sorry, Drusilla. My apologies. It's okay, Drusilla. It's not you, Drusilla. I'm just been misinterpreting you, like today for some reason. My apologies, Drusilla. And I may be thinking of someone else. Okay. Um, I got you, Drusilla. Okay, my mistake. Okay. Someone else in chat was an engineer, whatever the case. Okay, I forgot, Drusilla. You're a Viking warrior. That's what you are. That's what you do for a profession. Okay. Um, all right. So he became a teacher even though he could have been a lawyer. All right. This is an image of him on the right doing some teaching. Okay. And Freire was appointed director of the Pernambuco Department of Education and Culture, working primarily among the illiterate poor. I got you, Giselle. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. Freire began to develop while he was working amongst the poor and teaching them to read and write Portuguese and speak Portuguese, he started to develop his own. He started to become more radicalized and started to think more deeply about the intersection of power and education. And it should be noted that in the 1940s in Brazil, you had to be able to read in order to vote in presidential elections. You were literally not able to vote if you could not demonstrate a proficiency in reading. So it sort of radicalized him to be the one responsible for teaching the poor to read, knowing that he was the one giving them the ability to actually participate in elections. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. I know I'm talking a lot about him. I'll promise I'll get to the theory in a second. I think his background is super important. Okay? In 1962, so 60s, a time of a big change in a lot of places in the world, he had the first opportunity to actually experiment. Alyssa, exactly. Folks, try to think about where you see his ideas applying to our society, okay? Because boy, do they. All right. Alyssa just said a really good one here. Alyssa said, like politicians dissuading Americans from college educations while sending their own kids to prestige schools. Exactly, Alyssa. Okay. So, okay. So he finally got the chance to try out the educational theories he had developed in a large scale, okay? And he did an experiment where he took 300 sugarcane harvesters, which is very low income, okay? Those are the people that way back when would have been slaves. Obviously, at this point in Brazil's history, they were no longer enslaved, but that is very much poverty wages work, okay? And he taught them to read and write. So 300 sugarcane workers taught them to read and write in 45 days. I mean, not bad. Not bad. Okay. Now then, in 1964, all right. That's fair, Brazil. Okay. In 1964, there was a coup d'etat in Brazil. By the way, who do you think sponsored this coup d'etat? Yeah, come on, you all know. You all know who helped install this dictator in Brazil. Come on, who was it? Who was it? Which country helped install this dictator in Brazil? Who do we think it was? Who do we think it was? Do we think it was Switzerland? Do we do we do we think it was Japan? Who do we think did this? There you go, Mithril. It was the United States of America because, I think you could all guess that. Yeah, definitely Luxembourg, right? Okay, so you can definitely Luxembourg, right? Liechtenstein, Monaco, maybe it was Armenia or something. So again, the United States helped install this dictator. Okay, Maxim, exactly, right? Okay. Anyway, no, of course not America. Right, all right. Because this dictator got installed, all right, the new ruling military junta did not endorse Freire's new educational theory, and you'll see why. Okay. But after the dictatorship took over, he was imprisoned and labeled a traitor for 70 days. You'll see why, because his educational theory was very much not in line with what the dictatorship would have wanted, okay? He was then exiled to Bolivia, and Freire worked in Chile for 5 years for the Christian Democratic Agrarian Reform Movement, all right? And the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. And while he was there, he wrote his most famous book, and that is called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I posted this book in the Discord. Everyone should read it at one point in their lives. It's a very short book. There you go, Drusilla. Exactly, okay? Yeah, exactly, Alyssa, okay? He wrote Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I have 2 copies of Pedagogy of the Oppressed. The first one I wrote so much in and have wrinkled so many of the pages by using it so much that I needed to get a new one. But I do recommend everyone read it, okay? Here is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Um, and in this book, he reimagines teaching, okay, as a collaborative act of liberation rather than an act of transmitting knowledge from an authority figure to pupils. It's more complicated than that, but okay. So it is the third most cited book in all of the social sciences. The third most cited book in all of the social sciences. Okay, it is a very important work, despite how small it is. Okay, and he also he explains in the book that the thinking from the book came out of his experience as a teacher teaching illiterate, poor Brazilian peasants how to read and write. Okay, during this time, and while he was teaching, okay, he noticed that his students had an unconscious fear of freedom, or rather, they had a fear of changing the world from the way it was. Does this sound familiar to anyone, by the way? I'll get more into it. But he noticed that students in these oppressed situations often, there you go, okay, have almost a learned helplessness. And they had a fear, almost unconscious fear, of doing anything to achieve freedom for themselves or to overthrow their oppressors. Okay? We'll get more into this. All right. So this next topic is, so now we're going to go into his argument and his theory. This section is called oppression and dehumanization. All right. So, according to Freire, the biggest problem afflicting humans is affirming shared humanity. What does that mean? So, people dehumanizing each other and not viewing each other as fully human. All right. He claims that most societies, especially modern day capitalist societies, consist of people that can broadly be lumped into two groups: oppressed and oppressors, right? And these oppressive social structures are built on dehumanization. So, and by the way, this can be applied in multiple ways. You can have multiple forms of oppressed and oppressors within a society. You can have racial oppression, gender oppression, class oppression. There are multiple, these all can intersect, okay? Now, he was mainly talking economic and colonial oppression, but you can apply this to anything, okay? All right. In order to liberate people from these oppressive structures, the goal of education ought to be focusing on combating dehumanization. All right. Uh, okay. Now then, let me explain. All right. So, in order to right, Meowzord, okay, in order to liberate both the oppressed and the oppressors from that cycle of oppression, uh, you need to you need to liberate both of them from dehumanization. That includes the oppressors. I'll explain what that means. Uh, a lot of times we tend to think of the oppressors as solely the guilty party. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Um, but he kind of imagined it a bit differently. You'll see what I mean. Give him a chance. I know that it might be kind of frustrating to hear that, but you'll see what I mean, okay? Okay. So, here we go. This is how he described. I put it into two groups. Okay, the oppressed and the oppressors. So the oppressed. This I'm going to explain to you now how he said both the oppressors and the oppressed are dehumanized. Okay, so the oppressed. The oppressed are dehumanized by being objectified. Okay, as mere cogs in a larger machine, whose lives are only as valuable as their function in society. I mean, come on, folks. Like, who amongst us hasn't at some point felt like a cog in a machine who are only useful, our only worth is linked to our economic output or our role as a woman who can produce children or as a whatever it may be, right? So the oppressed are dehumanized by being viewed as simply functional cogs in a machine. Okay, obviously, and the oppressed are often viewed as disposable. And their power to act is suppressed by the oppressors. Okay. Um, and again, folks, so we will, okay. So that makes sense. What was, them name? Oh, Alex. That would be Alex, Victoria. Exactly. So the oppressed would, thank you. That's a good point, Victoria. Remember how we did, this is Alex? This would be Alex, right? Oppressed. Okay. Now, Freire went on, and he said that the oppressors, were also dehumanized. The oppressors are dehumanized to a less. Now I don't know if he said to a lesser extent. I will say I added to a lesser extent. I need to go back and check if he actually said that. I don't think he did. I think he kind of implies it. Regardless, the oppressors are dehumanized to a lesser extent by their transformation into monsters who lack empathy. And by the way, that transformation into monsters who lack empathy also make the oppressed view them as not human anymore, right? You see what I mean? But also the very act of not having empathy and just viewing the oppressed as cogs in a machine is also dehumanizing. Okay. So he went on to say, it is easy for the oppressed to fight their oppressors only to end up becoming the oppressors that they originally opposed. Fair, Luke. Fair. Okay. Fair. All right. You know how specific I am, Luke. Okay. So he was concerned that, yeah, we need to liberate the oppressed, but we need to make sure that when the oppressed are liberated, their liberation doesn't just become them becoming the new oppressors. Right? Because that just starts the cycle all over again. Okay. And hey, in your groove, don't worry. He did not, even Paulo Freire did not say that you need to, you did not need to, Meowsord, exactly. Okay. Even Paulo Freire said you don't need to empathize with like your oppressors. Okay. He did say though that you should view them as human. He didn't say you have to empathize, but he said they need to be viewed as human, and they themselves need to do the work to liberate themselves. That is not the job of the oppressed. Okay, do you see what I mean? So even though, yeah, I don't want you guys to think that means you need to empathize with the oppressed. He says it is true though that they're human, and they also need to work to their own towards their own liberation from this cycle. Okay, all right. Okay. So, and all right, let's go on here. According to Freire, right? I love this stuff, folks. I get so excited talking about it. Okay. Okay. All right. No, Alan, you're right. And, I'll mention that in a bit here, Alan. What if they don't do that work? You're right, Alan. And Freire was not totally opposed to, for example, violence, but he was also concerned, but he wanted to make sure that if that did happen, you wouldn't have another oppressed system that arrives afterwards. Okay. Because if the oppressors who are less oppressed or who are less dehumanized, don't change their ways, the oppressed have a right, okay? Anyway, yeah. All right. And there are some flaws with the way he thought. Regardless, yeah, yeah, exactly. You attack their views, not the reality of their humanity. Absolutely in your groove. Okay. So, Now, folks, I fail a lot when I'm talking about oppressors, okay? I oftentimes do dehumanize them. So even though I love Freire, it's something I need to get better at. I have a lot of anger inside of me. I'm sure a lot of you do. But, I think though, that in the end, if I were in the room with one, I would at least view them as human, even if I threw them in prison or whatever. Anyway, okay, so, all right. So, at least I hope that's what I would do. All right. So Freire went on to say that unequal social relations create something called a culture of silence. That is where the oppressed get instilled with a negative, passive, and suppressed self-image. They are sort of taught and indoctrinated that there's something wrong with them, that because there's something wrong with them and that they have no power, they need to remain passive and not resist their oppression. And they are never really their ability to sort of think freely for themselves is suppressed. I mean, come on, folks. We all know this is true. Yeah, right? They view themselves as that is their place. Exactly, Luke. It's the idea of keeping them in a certain place, right? Okay. The culture of silence. So this is called the culture of silence, and it happens amongst oppressed people where they become silent about the oppression they're facing. Uh, it can also cause the culture of silence can also cause the dominated individuals, so the oppressed people, to lose the means by which to critically respond to the oppressors and their culture. So it makes it almost impossible to even critique the system that's oppressing you. It makes it really hard to critique it in a way that actually helps you. It keeps the oppressed silent and makes it really hard for them to actually critique the system. Um, I mean, obviously, right? Okay. And a lot of times, the oppressed people will think that they are critiquing a system, but they're really not critiquing a system. Remember when I did that presentation on repressive desublimation, how like the capitalist system has integrated into it things that were traditionally modes of rebellion, like drag, okay? Or like Hot Topic, for example, goth culture has now been integrated into the system. And when people go and buy like punk clothes or whatever from a chain store in what they view as an act of rebellion, it's not really an act of rebellion. Okay? Do you see what I mean? So, okay. So that's the culture of silence. He also considers race, social race and class dynamics to be interlaced into education systems, traditional education systems, and that traditional education systems uh, uh, basically reinforce the culture of silence and eliminate the paths of thinking that lead to liberation. Okay, I know I just threw a lot at you. So basically, the idea here is that there's a culture of silence that grows up where the oppressed are suppressed and their ability to actually think critically about their situation is suppressed, and that the education system in most places reinforces this culture of silence. Okay, it makes students passive, obedient, and it instills them with negative self-images that make it impossible to critique the societies they're in. All right. Okay. Uh, all right. Here, I'm not going to go too much into this page here. This is what. So Freire said that there was a. Yeah, exactly, Luke. Exactly. Okay. They are conforming to nonconformity. So this process of dehumanization. Remember, his whole thing is that the system of oppressed and oppressor is built up by dehumanization. Okay. So the dehumanizing cycle of oppression. This is basically showing how dehumanization causes a culture of silence. So this is what happens. Okay. First, you have a collective suppression of truth telling. That includes things like misinformation, propaganda, divide and rule. Meowzord, yes, okay. Now that's a very nerdy way of phrasing it, Meowzord. I totally appreciate it, but yeah, on um, ontological insecurity, right? Having an unstable sense of identity makes you more dependent on the state. Exactly, Meowzord. Okay, so if you start with a situation where where the oppressors suppress the ability to tell the truth. Okay, and they make it hard for the truth to be discovered. What that ends up doing is that it weakens the community because you can no longer have like community bonds because you can no longer talk about things in an accurate way. So you can't really solve any problems, right? So suppression of truth telling weakens the community. And if the community gets weakened, people stop feeling empathy for each other and connecting. So there's an atrophy of love and trust amongst the oppressed. Come on, folks. Do we not see this in our everyday lives? I mean, there is so much infighting between the oppressed peoples in the United States. Like, basically, all of us are to some extent oppressed, but we've divided each other into different groups. A lot of times within the same communities, we don't even talk to each other. We don't trust our neighbors. Okay. Because of the suppression of truth telling, which has weakened the community, right? Yeah, Meowzord, empathy is woke, right? Yeah, right, Luke. The 99%. There's a very small portion of people who are oppressing everyone else. Okay, all right. Now, admittedly, though, there are other forms of that, like there's gender oppression, racial oppression. Exactly, Dolly Boy, divide and rule, which is you even says up here, divide and rule. Okay, so that he understood this. Okay, so what happens when you have an atrophy of love and trust in these communities is that you start seeing the rise of more collective unfreedoms and injustices because people don't empathize with each other anymore. Um, so you start seeing people okay with their neighbors being dragged out of their houses and taken to a camp. You start not minding so much when you see no, Dolly Boy, I'm glad you brought it up, okay? Start not minding so much when you see video of a woman being harassed on a subway. You see what I mean? Okay. And lastly, the last stage of this is the culture of silence. So you have that cycle going, and after you start losing when you start seeing collective unfreedoms and injustice, you suddenly start seeing people be afraid, and they start feeling despair, and then they stop talking about things. Okay, so I know that's complicated, but that is the cycle. The cycle of dehumanization that leads to collective silence, and folks, I know I love this shit. Please tell me if I'm being clear here. I know I am kind of rambling on here. I find it super interesting. I might not be I've never taught this before, because at least I've never directly taught this before. So if I'm being unclear, I know I'm throwing a lot at you. Please let me know in chat. I can add some clarification. Okay. All right. This is another quote from Paulo Freire. Okay. The oppressed, having internalized the image of their oppressor and adopted his guidelines, are fearful of freedom. Okay. Yeah, oh my God, I know, Luke. But then the illusion is still set up, Luke, that we do have power, right? All right. Okay. So that brings us to the last thing here. So what does this mean for education? Okay. Because remember, this whole thing is him saying that the education system reinforces this culture of silence. And that brings us to the way of teaching that he sort of invented. It's called critical pedagogy. And it has had a massive influence on many different people. Okay. So traditional teaching follows something called the banking model. All right. This is where students are viewed as sort of empty vessels to be filled by the teachers with knowledge. Okay. Like someone has a jug, they have, they have water, and you fill up the jug with knowledge. Okay. In that sort of scenario, the teacher is the authority figure who their only job is to be listened to and to tell the students what to think, to fill them up with the knowledge they need. with no participation from the student. They are sort of the bank to be filled with knowledge. Who here has had teachers like that in the past? I can guarantee you probably have had at least one. There are teachers out there today that still teach like that. And a lot of teachers do still do some of this, even if that's not all that they do anymore. But the idea of like when you educate someone, you're just throwing knowledge into their heads without any sort of critical reflection. Okay. Um, has anyone here had a teacher like that? You know what? I'm actually very curious. I'm going to put a poll here. Who has had a crap. Damn it, it froze. Okay, you know what? I'll do this instead. All right, so I'm gonna use it over here, folks. So start a poll. Who has had a teacher who used the banking model? Who used the banking model? Okay. Okay, so I just posted here, folks. Sorry for those over on Twitch. Unfortunately, I don't have one up there for you, but you can just tell me in the chat. Okay, I'm curious what you all say. Okay, all right. So, all right. Oh, yep. I almost we got two growth, three votes. Yep, 4 votes. Almost everyone looks like. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So, it's a problem, right? And that it's a very common form of teaching, unfortunately, even today. All right. Okay. Now, so knowing that, Freire said that this transforms students into receiving objects, okay, and attempts to control thinking and action, leading men and women to adjust to the world and inhibiting their creative power. Okay. I think that's self-explanatory, right? So you notice over here is an image, and I love this. It says, teachers in a banking scenario, right? You have a teacher who owns the knowledge, and then the students own nothing, and the teacher deposits knowledge, lecturing, disciplining, and informing reality into the student, while the students do nothing except receive that information and accept it non-critically. Okay. All right. That Freire said no. Okay. Teaching should not be a one-way transmission filling up of a vessel. It should be two things. One, education is a practice of freedom. And two, it's a dialogue. All right. Right, Mithril? Okay. And let's go on here. Okay. So what does that mean? This is what he said a teacher should do. Okay. The goal of critical pedagogy is emancipation from oppression through an awakening of the critical consciousness, which I can't pronounce in Portuguese. Forgive me. I think it's conscienciação. The idea of awakening your ability to be critical of your society and your surroundings, and do it confidently. Okay. So that's the goal of teaching, is to awaken people's critical consciousness about the world. All right. And a critical consciousness encourages individuals to affect change in their world. Okay. Through social critique and political actions. In order to self-actualize, so in order to find meaning and to achieve happiness and well-being in their lives. Okay. It doesn't mean that's the only goal of teaching, but when you teach, it doesn't matter what the subject is, math, science, social studies, teach it in a way that is emancipatory, so that people can be creative with the knowledge they're learning and break bounds with it. Okay. And the goal then of after these students get this consciousness is to yeah, my apologies, Victoria. I know. Okay. is to achieve praxis. Now, the lefties in here have probably heard the term praxis in here before. Freire actually took that from Marx. He had a bit of a different definition because he was partially inspired by Marx, if you couldn't tell, oppressor and oppressed, okay? And the praxis is where, is after you've achieved this consciousness, you're able to take actions to transform the oppressive structures around you, then reflect upon those actions to see if they worked or not, and then change them to better transform in a cycle of fixing the world around you to liberate yourself from oppression. Okay? So critical consciousness and praxis are what education should be doing for you. Okay? So again, the steps would be this, right? Awaken a critical consciousness amongst your students. Have them engage in praxis. Okay. And then you use that praxis to escape the cycle of oppression. Okay. All right. Not, by the way, to become the new oppressors, but to escape the cycle of oppression. So, some of the differences here between traditional pedagogy and critical pedagogy. So, in like a traditional pedagogy and a traditional teacher, the role of the teacher is as a source of authority and knowledge in the room. All right. Do this, do that, listen to me, write down these notes, memorize this. Okay. So the role in a traditional educational setting is authority and instructor. Instructor means imparts knowledge on the students with little student interaction or input. Okay. So again, a traditional school, the role of the teacher is authority and instructor. In critical pedagogy, the role of a teacher is supposed to be a collaborator, working alongside students to create a shared learning environment. All right. And their job is supposed to be a facilitator, engages critical thinking and student-led discussions in learning. Okay. So it's not supposed to be hierarchical in a critical pedagogy classroom. Yes, does that mean that a teacher isn't able to enforce rules that are good for the whole class? No, it just means that when it comes to thinking about what is being taught, the teacher does not have a monopoly on truth. You guys have heard me say this before, right? I do not have a monopoly on truth. I do not have a monopoly on truth. Okay. So that is critical pedagogy. Okay. Where a teacher is supposed to be a collaborator and a facilitator. All right. The learning environment is also different. Okay. So in a traditional classroom, students focus on memorization, okay, and absorption of predefined information. All right. And I know you do, Matt Saigai, right? Okay. Okay. And standardization, where you emphasize uniformity and standard assessments for all students. Okay. Like a factory floor. Everyone has a station. They have to produce something. Okay. In critical pedagogy, you engage in critical engagement. So you actually are supposed to promote your students questioning societal norms and engaging with diverse viewpoints. And then you're also supposed to engage in empowerment, encouraging students to take ownership of their learning and experiences and to respect themselves. Okay? All right. So this is, I think, these are the last two slides. And the goal of this, remember, folks, is to get oppressors or the oppressed to recognize their oppression and then be able to act on it to liberate themselves. Okay. And you need to get rid of the culture of silence to do this. So let me give you some examples. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Luke. Okay. Let me give you some examples of when I was teaching, some of the things I would do for this. Okay. One, you create classroom rules and procedures together as a class. This isn't always perfect, folks, but you create those rules together as a class so everyone has buy-in to those rules, and it's not an authority figure just dictating them to you. Now, yes, there are certain rules I would have to uh, uh, I would have to have rules there that weren't discussed just for the nature of safety, but the majority of the rules could be decided upon by the class, and it includes things that the teacher has to follow, obviously with exceptions. Okay, like the teacher can't talk over a student if the student is, things like that. Okay. Also, allowing open now, I would do this, I would get in trouble for this sometimes, even though it worked really well. Um, allowing open questioning and critiquing of the teacher, and even rewarding critiques that led to the teacher making a change for the better. Now, this does not mean insulting the teacher or being rude to the teacher or saying things just to annoy the teacher. It means like, saying to a teacher, hey, and I mean it in front of the class, like, hey, this question might be a bit biased against women, or this question you don't have the correct answer listed here, or why are we doing this quiz? Is this really a good measure of our knowledge? Okay. Like, and when students would do that for me, okay, when students would uh exactly, Demosthenes, other teachers didn't like it. You know why? Because then my students would go to their class and point out things to them. And I'll tell you what though, I don't mean to toot my own horn here, and I don't like standardized testing, but I consistently got 99.9% to 100% passing rate on all the state tests for my students, okay, and almost a 98% passing rate on all the AP tests and shit. My point being, okay, is that it worked. I had a very effective classroom, but anyway, okay, I don't mean to toot my own horn, and I don't like standardized tests, but anyway, okay. So, and this worked really well. And sometimes I taught high school, Big Braden, and I admit, and so did Freire. And I also have taught adults. So I've done it with adults and high schoolers. It works better with adults, but it also works great. It also works great with high schoolers. Okay. A lot of people don't have faith in high schoolers. And yeah, there were occasionally problems like there are in any classroom. But high schoolers are pretty aware of their surroundings, okay? And if you give them the opportunity to create a structure and stuff in their classroom, they will take hold of it and they will enforce it for you, okay? Um, okay, excellent, Demosthenes. Okay, all right. So I would do that, and it worked. And by the way, it helped improve my teaching because they would point out things I hadn't noticed that I had done wrong. Right, Luke, right. No, I wouldn't though. And that's a good thing, Luke. So a lot of times, folks, there would be a temptation sometimes. Okay, there would be a temptation sometimes on my part. Like if a kid criticized me, and let's admit it, I'd be in a bad mood or something, I would be tempted to shut them down. But I had to be disciplined, right? Because I also don't want them to be frightened and then not want to criticize me in the future. So it does take some teacherly discipline, right? But you have to understand those kids are having to do discipline every day too, right? So it's only fair that you got to do some too and be nice or be respectful to them when they have a critique, right? Okay. Anyway, uh the next thing I would do, and this is something I kind of thought of myself, but I've now have met other teachers who have done this before too. Very few, not many teachers take this approach, folks. Um, is you make the curriculum part of the curriculum. So I would literally post the official state curriculum on the internet so all my students could see it and we would analyze it together and be like, so why do you think the state is having us learn this? Why do you think we skipped the slavery? Why do you think we went right on to the end of the Civil War? Why do you think there's this portion in here that wants us to talk about the benefits of the free enterprise system? Why do we think that there's only a small section here devoted to women? What? So you make the curriculum that the state is having you teach part of the curriculum, okay? Rather than just most teachers never even share the curriculum with their students or tell them about it. So I actually share it, and then I'm like, so this is what the state wants you to learn. What do we think? Why do we think they want you to learn this stuff? Yes, Luke, it is whack here in Ohio, okay? And yes, folks, I would still teach the curriculum, but it would give the opportunity for me to bring in other things by talking about what's missing and stuff, and having students point out, like, why aren't they talking about this? Or, okay, you see what I mean? Okay. All right. You also, I know, right, Dolly Boy? Okay, and folks, like, I'm not joking. By the way, I've worked at a couple schools that were great, and they loved my approach. I've worked at other schools where they did not like it. And sometimes it wouldn't even be administrators, it would be other teachers who would start talking about what I was doing behind my back. And it like really, so it's interesting. Okay. Um, That mithril, that's great. That's a good way to do it. You want to be sort of invisible as a teacher. You don't want your students to learn to be obedient to authority figures. They should learn with you being kind of invisible, if that makes sense. Kind of. All right. So I would also do this. Yeah. Okay. Big great. I would also do this. Um, I taught in two different communities that were very low income. Uh, I taught in Indianapolis in a very sort of impoverished community, high crime, um, uh, large black population. This had been a community that had previously been redlined and stuff. Something like, I don't know, 90% of my students were non-white, were low income. Many of them were immigrants. Okay. Um, what you can do too is you can openly discuss the socioeconomic situation of the student's community and how it might be impacting their lives and their education. So I would talk about this. I'd be like, because there was a high school right up the street in a white middle class neighborhood that was always beautiful, beautiful building, massive, great technology, and then at our high school, not so much, and also less crime out there. And I would have my students talk about, like, how do you think it might impact someone who is hungry that when they come to school? Do you think they're going to learn anything? How do you think it might impact someone uh, um, when they have a parent who has an addiction problem, and a student is worrying about that? How do you think it might impact someone if they grew up in a upper middle class family up in that neighborhood up there, and there's not much crime there? How do you think that impacts their education? Okay. Mithril, can I ask a question, CR? It's to do with the subject and relate. Yeah, please do, Mithril. Okay. So you can openly now you have to be careful when you do that when you do this, because you don't want to directly call out students and be like, "Oh, you're poor." Like, what's how does, like, you see what I mean? But, like, you can talk collectively about a community. All right? By the way, this is also useful because not all the people in that classroom were quote unquote oppressed people. There were also some quote unquote oppressors in terms of economics. So it also teaches them empathy. So which allows them to be more humanized also, which goes with Pablo Freire. Okay, anyway. Uh I would oftentimes bring food into the class. I would have a box of food because, as Pablo Freire said, you can't eat if you haven't eaten, you're not going to be able to learn. So I would always have food in the classroom, like little snacks, because I would have students come in who hadn't had breakfast or hadn't eaten in a day, or had just gotten off work from working late, for working like an overnight shift, and went straight into school. So make sure that students are actually fed. Otherwise, they're not going to learn a damn thing. I even had a pillow and a blanket. And, I would hide this because the principal was later okay with it when she found out, but I hid it at the beginning. So I had this like little cubby area that was kind of hidden from the hallway, and I would put pillows and a blanket in there. I would have students come in who had worked all night long, or the night before had to deal with one of their parents being abusive towards a family member or doing drugs or something, and they hadn't slept in a day or more. And I'd be like, okay, go ahead, go back into the cubby and sleep. And I would let them sleep back there during class, because even if they're not learning during my class, at least they'll be able to learn in the next class. but you're not going to learn anything if you haven't gotten sleep. Okay. And a lot of times these students didn't have anywhere they could sleep safely to begin with. So at least I'm providing a place for it, right? Okay. Um, uh, eh, and folks, I'm not trying to talk. Thank you, Drizella. I hope you know I'm not trying to talk myself up. I'm trying to demonstrate here how we can do teaching differently. Okay. And yeah, elevator lady, there's something called the uh what is it called? Bandura. And his whole idea of education is that children learn by watching what adults do. So by doing this, I'm also trying to teach empathy, right? Okay. Next thing here, okay? This is what all teachers should do. It's you differentiate instructions. You differentiate. And by the way, teachers shouldn't have to pay for food. I did, but that's not fair to make teachers do that. So obviously, we need universal lunch and breakfast because teachers aren't paid much. Let's be honest. A lot of times, I would get people to donate the food to me, so I wouldn't always have to pay for it. But that shouldn't even be an issue, right? Why the hell is that even an issue in one of the wealthiest countries in human history? Okay. Differentiating instruction. So you don't teach the same for every person. Sometimes you change your tone for certain people based off their experiences in past and things like that. You may, people who are, you just differentiate how you teach to the student, right? You don't teach everyone as a unit. You try to differentiate as much as possible based off their likes, their interests, their language, etc. Okay, that's pretty obvious. That's what all teachers should do anyway. Lastly, this term is one that I kind of came up with, and I probably should. Yeah, I wish we had the same thing here as you guys do in California. They're in your groove. This last one here, okay, is I kind of invented this phrase. I know, self-congratulations, but it's a bad phrase. I should change it. I call it slap in the face social studies. Right, Victoria. We need fewer students per classroom. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah, Alyssa, I get it, right? You're gonna make me cry, Alyssa, here. Nothing quite breaks my heart more than a hungry student or a hungry child in a school. And it really crushes my soul that like we do raffles for students to get free lunch and shit. Anyway, Alyssa, I love you. You're the best. Okay. Um, okay. Oh God. All right. And here we got the last one here. I call it slap in the face social studies. What does that mean? So, and I'm going to give you an example. This is the last slide here, okay? So I would do things like this. And a lot of times I have noticed that teachers are scared. Yeah, I know. That's why I said that, Alyssa. I remember you told us that your school would do raffles for free lunch, which is insane. It's like the Hunger Games. Uh, so here we have, okay, slap in the face. This is where I would teach something bluntly without, without being, God damn it, without beating around the bush to make a point. Because I know that sounds obvious. It's like, well, yeah, shouldn't you just tell it like it is? Most teachers don't, okay? Because you don't want to be too traumatizing, I guess you want to say, not traumatizing, but you don't want to offend anyone, if you know what I mean. I didn't care. So especially when it came to issues of oppression, I would be blunt. And I would be direct. So let me show you what I mean. Okay. So this is an example of what I call slap in the face social studies. Okay. All right. So in that school I just told you I was teaching at, which was primarily primarily African American population, low income community. Yeah, Luke, it didn't. Let me explain. Okay. So I would show them this map, my students this map. This is a map of Indianapolis. This is a redlining map. Now, does anyone know what redlining is? So there was a time in America where the federal government sent agents to cities and took maps and they color coded areas of these cities based off race and things like that in order to determine who should pay higher interest or lower interest on loans for houses. So if it was an area they felt, mean that you didn't tell them that exactly, Alyssa, exactly, okay, exactly, okay. So these maps would be like, so if you were in a red area, that means it's a place where banks should give you a worse loan conditions because you can't be trusted. You live in this area. Or if it was yellow, a little bit better loan guarantees, but still not great. Blue, hey, it's a desirable area. Maybe give them better loans. And if it's a green area, great. Give them the best loans. And by the way, if you're in a red lined area or a red zoned area, no loans sometimes. Okay? So, these maps that they made, okay, the government agents would actually make notes as to why they were labeling an area a certain color. So let's take a look here. Without going, and you can actually find these maps online. It was, Luke, it was, okay, even though there were some white people that were discriminated against too, especially if they were Italian or Irish. But so let's click on one of these red line areas and see what the government says. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. It says right here, I don't know if you all can see it. So the government says the reason they marked this area red is because it has one word. It has one word followed by a sentence. Negroes. It goes on to say, center portion, near Barnes High Schools, large older type houses, also lots of Catholics. So this area was redlined because there were black people there and there were Catholics there. That, folks, is slap in the face social studies. Okay. Now, you'll notice that area, yep, just straight up like that, Dolly boy. And yeah, okay. And now, obviously, folks, if there had been a different N word there, and there sometimes are, I wouldn't have said that. That and the N word that I used, okay, is was the official word at the time. Now, if this was obviously, if this was other different N word, I wouldn't have said that out loud. But for the word I did use, that is more okay when it comes to historical documents, okay? And so, by the way, that area I just clicked on was the area that I taught in. That was the community I taught in. So a lot of my students had come from that community, and I showed them this bluntly. That this is, you wonder why this neighborhood has struggled, because historically, okay, Luke, in some southern states, the wording is a bit different. Let's put it that way. And then I could also do something like this. Right next to the area I taught, there was a green or a blue area. I can't quite remember. And in that area, which literally a lot of my students, I mean, they could see it from their houses. There was like a highway, and then they could see it on the other side. It was an upper middle class neighborhood. And so then I would go to that, and I would talk about how this one, for example, says this area has a better class of white and Jewish people. Okay. So I would show them, I'm like, hey, so do we think that the reason that neighborhood is doing well, which is, by the way, it's surprising that Jewish people were viewed as a positive at this time. Most of the time they were not. Okay. So that, yep, this is a website, guys. I will put it here for you. A lot of cities are on here. You can look up your city. Not all the cities are on here, and not all the cities do we still have the government comments on. But go to this website. Here, I just sent it, and you can look up your own cities. Yep. Okay. And my students would very quickly realize, wait a minute. So the reason our neighborhood is the way it is isn't because there's something wrong with us. It's because of this historical trend of marginalizing black people and giving benefits to the white neighborhoods. Folks, that moment when I would do that, you could see the light bulb in people's heads. And not only the light bulb, you would also see them suddenly start thinking, like, having a feeling of confidence, because they're no longer blaming themselves for their situation. You see what I mean? By the way, I also taught a lot of poor white folks. And on this map, there are plenty of neighborhoods that were yellow lined because there were immigrant white folks there. So a lot of white folks also quickly learned that their neighborhoods were also mistreated. Okay. Okay. Right. Oh, no, Doug. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You guys got it? Yeah. All right. Um, and hey, well, technically, Doug, this is not critical race theory. Critical race theory, well, it could partially be critical race theory. This is just one example, though. But yeah. Um, all right. So that would be example of slap in the face social studies. Was something else I would do. I did it when remember when I did my Columbus video and I literally read to you a quote from Christopher Columbus's journal. That is slap in the face social studies. I just read it out loud. Okay. Read it out loud. Don't hide what he said. Just say it. Okay. Alan, there's also steering in real estate, which is encouraging certain people to buy houses. Absolutely, Alan, and that they actually still do that today. Now that it's redlining is now illegal, but they find other ways to do it. Okay. Yeah, I guess, Dolly boy, I'm teaching them kids that woke stuff. Okay. You can imagine why so many conservatives don't like this form of teaching. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. Oh, you should, Victoria. Okay. All right. And folks, I'm going to go back to my face now. So, yeah, the Katrina documentary is really good. It really does show this. Okay, folks, if we get one more super chat, I will put on the jester makeup. Thank you, everyone. That's my presentation on critical pedagogy, and there's more to it than that. I could talk about it for hours. Yep, there you go, Alyssa. Folks, tell me what you learned when you looked up these maps. Alyssa says, I looked up near me and it says Armenians and Turks on red. Yep, Alyssa. So, again, there are lots of ethnic groups, not just black folks, that were viewed as a lesser sort. Okay, that includes Turkish people. I once saw one that said Arab immigrants that was in a red area. And by the way, Orthodox Jews were oftentimes considered, or Hasidic Jews were oftentimes put in red areas. Yes, Alyssa, I know what you mean. I can't quite remember it, but yeah, there was an investigation about that. Yes, there was, Alyssa. And I can't quite remember what it was, but yeah. Okay. Okay, right? And so, and again, folks, so that is a way, yeah. So, okay. I still, by the way, I still get calls or emails and messages from some of my former students, folks. I had one of my former students, I might cry talking about it, actually, called me because they graduated from college. I mean, God, I'm gonna cry, okay? And this student of mine was from a low income neighborhood, and I didn't hear from him for a while. Um, and he went to school to become a teacher. And he called me and said it was because of me that he did that, and he didn't think he ever would have graduated college. And oh my God, folks, when you have a moment like that, whew, um, again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but you see what I mean here. I just love teaching. But anyway, okay, Matt Saigai, thank you, Matt Saigai, so much. Alyssa is the best. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Matt Saigai. I'll put on the makeup now. Whew, okay. All right. Oop. I have not, but I would love to, Mithra. That sounds amazing. Um, yeah, almost certainly, Doug. Absolutely. Okay. And by the way, folks, and I know we talk a lot about black folks because yeah, black folks were right, Alyssa. Okay. Black folks were heavily obviously discriminated against, but there were also a lot of white folks that were discriminated against too, because they were viewed as poor immigrants, Catholic, etc. Okay, thank you so much, Matt Saigai. Okay, so I'll put on the makeup, folks. That's it. That's the end of that presentation. There, I have some other things I wanted to talk about. This is what we'll do. Okay. How many people do we have watching right now? We have 10. Okay, so we got about 19 overall. Folks, please like the stream if you haven't already. I just want to make sure we don't have a terrible number of people in here, which is okay, but want to make sure we get more people in here. Okay, so we got what, 17 people in here? Yeah, right now. Sorry, I don't see race. I hate that idea. Anyway, okay, so let us so what I was going to say here. Okay, what I want to do is while I'm putting on this makeup now, Luke here, Luke here, yes, Demosthenes. Did you guys notice on those on that website how the word the government would use is infiltration? When exactly, Luke, the forceful sterilizations were of a lot of people who were white and poor. Okay, and so the word infiltration is often used on those documents to describe immigrants who have come into the neighborhood. Okay, anyway, all right, guys. So what I want to do now, while I'm putting on the makeup, Mithril, yes, okay, is this
the institution of slavery?
This, speaking of the oppression of black folks. Oh my God! Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa, for the bits. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so all right, I'm getting. Let me take this off. So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna pull up this video. Yeah, no, elevator. You're right. We all are human, right? We're all human, and that's what really bothers me. Okay. Anyway, so this is what we're gonna do, folks. So Luke sent me something in the Discord. Was it a couple days ago? Basically, it's like a what is it called here, Luke? Let me find it here. It's this. Let me pull it up, and we will. And okay, it is called a statement on Christian nationalism and the gospel, and it's basically a declaration of intent by Christian nationalists to how they want to turn the government into a Christian nationalist government. So we'll look at that. But first, while I'm putting on my makeup, I think it was someone sent this. Was it Meowzord sent this? This is a Christian nationalist commentator trying to use the Bible to defend the institution of slavery. So while I put on the makeup, let's listen to this. I have not seen it, okay? It'll kind of go along with what we talk about.
Is not inherently, the institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years.
This is the Dollemore Daily. My name is Garrison Hayes, guest hosting here on the channel this week. Listen, this one bothered me. This one like genuinely annoyed me over the weekend. Like we've looped back around to the Christians defending the institution of slavery part of Christian history. And it's
Golly boy, the banks and stuff would get access to those comments. Other government officials would get I believe they were public record. So I'm pretty sure almost anyone could get access to them. Thank you very much, Luke. Okay, folks, if we get 4 more super chats or $10 more, or I guess, yeah, 4 more super chats, we'll do a late night stream. Thank you very much, Luke. Oh, you guys did? Sorry. Yeah, I guess you'll have to watch it again. Forgive me. I haven't seen it. I know a lot of folks haven't seen it, have they? So while I'm putting on the makeup, we'll watch them.
It's bothering me. Christian nationalist Joshua Hames, he's a commentator, defended slavery as an institution in a viral video that I need you to see. Take a look.
The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years. Okay, I'll take it a step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being.
What?
I know.
What is he talking about?
You guys are really upset, but let's talk through this because it is very important that every Christian affirm what I just said. And not only should they affirm it, every Christian in today's society should be able to defend what I just said. Okay? Every Christian should be able to defend it. Big evangelicalism has been getting this wrong for years, basically since the Genesis, since the advent of Big Eva. They haven't had a good answer for the slavery issue. All right, Christians in America have been led astray on this topic. They've been led to believe things that the Bible doesn't teach. And
So,
when
folks,
we
we
go
only
beyond
need-
the Bible, there are dire consequences.
Now this is
super chats.
obviously racist, and I'm going to tell you why it's racist, but I'm also going to engage with this in
That is
good
true,
faith.
Drusilla.
Easier
It
said than
is.
done. I want to tell you what his argument is, and then I'll explain to you why his position
it counts as
is
two,
not only
Alyssa.
wrong, it is also obviously
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot
racist.
about yours, Alyssa. Yes.
Now, this clip is a part of a
So
larger
we need-
video that obviously we're not going to take the time to comb through this
One
entire
more.
video. He actually summarized his position in his own words in a post on X that I'm going to show you right now. Joshua Hames, in defending his position that slavery is not inherently evil or wrong, he wrote this as a defense of his position. He says, it is not inherently sinful for
All
one
right,
image
Victoria.
bearer to own another. Insane. Slavery as an institution, he says, is not inherently.
You know, if he thinks slavery isn't that bad, maybe he should be a slave. You know, maybe he should spend a day as a slave. See if he thinks it's evil then. Like, I have no mercy for these people. Like, honestly, like maybe we should bring back slavery just so that this guy can be a slave.
Evil. Insane. That being said, man stealing is inherently sinful and clearly condemned of
Obviously not this guy, okay? The guy who's taught the other okay,
the
you know what I
law
mean.
of God. Thus, any form of slavery that includes man stealing is evil. Why is this important? He asks.
Got
We've
it,
been
Alyssa.
asking
Okay,
the same
guys,
thing.
we'll do
but
a late
here
night
we
stream
are.
tonight. Thank you.
Because to posit that all forms of slavery are inherently evil is to accuse God, he says, of helping institute and regulate an evil system for the nation of Israel in the Old Testament. He goes on,
what
God
God
is the same
does
yesterday,
in the
today, and
Bible.
tomorrow. If owning another person is inherently evil today, then it was inherently evil in ancient Israel, he says. And thus, you can accuse God of engaging in evil. What a doozy. Now, I'm going to debunk this stuff. I'm going to kind of take it a few points at a time. There really aren't that many points being made. It's kind of all built on what I believe to be a house of cards. But I'm going to debunk it. And I'll even use a couple of scriptures here or there to do it. So let's start with the foundational claim.
Admittedly, folks, I appreciate what this guy is doing. It's not necessarily the best move to disprove the scriptures with the scriptures, if that's what he's thinking of doing here. It just is kind of a logical fallacy. I don't think we need to use the Bible to talk about any of these things. We can just see that the Bible says that it's okay to do slavery, and then know, because we're moral people, that that's wrong. We don't need to then use the Bible to disprove that, because then if we do that, it's a matter of cherry picking, because someone else can come along and say, well, it does say it's slavery is okay here. So yeah, see what I mean?
The thing undergirding his entire position, his entire argument, is that, to quote, to posit that all forms of slavery are inherently evil is to accuse God, he says, of helping institute and regulate an evil
Drusilla,
system.
how do you feel about that?
The
Do you agree,
foundational
Drusilla?
assumption that he is
Thank
making
you, Matt
here
Saiga. You are the best.
is that God endorsed the actions
I
of
know you know a
biblical
lot about
Israel.
this stuff, Drusilla.
That if Israel did it, God endorsed it. Brother, have you ever read the Bible? The Bible
Right, Alan?
is like 90% God sending messengers to tell his followers that they are messing up, that they aren't carrying out his will. The last third
JDH?
of the Old Testament,
I'll find it.
He mentions the Old Covenant. The last third of the Old Covenant, of the Old Testament, is just diss track after diss track from the prophets, just writing songs, writing entire volumes about how God's people are doing stuff that God didn't like. I need you to read the book. I need you to
folks,
read Jeremiah.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm pausing
I need you to
this.
read Lamentations.
I found it.
I need you to read
One
Micah.
second, guys. So apparently Trump is speaking live right now. Let's see what he has to say. God help us all. No pun intended, since we're just talking about God. And I want to finish that video, but I just want to see what Trump is saying real fast.
They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and
Oh, they called Stephen a bad name. I'm going to go back to see if we can find that. If he's not saying anything significant, folks, I'm just going to go right back to the video.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please.
Is it JDH? Okay.
Oh, it's a great honor to have all my friends here. It's like old home week.
Oh my God, Starch Manning. I hope so. I hope they name it the Epstein Memorial Ballroom. Brilliant, Starch Manning. Thank you so much for the super chat. Right? Totally.
What a job you're doing, and thank you very much for that. We want to begin by thanking the people that have done such a great job at the White House. They have been doing really incredible work.
Oh, here we go. Okay, here's all the bootlicking first. Let me finish my makeup, folks, while the baboon is talking.
For that very much. And we're here today to discuss a sweeping, unprecedented, and historically successful operation that my administration has carried out in recent weeks to arrest, prosecute, and permanently remove members of foreign drug cartels from American soil. And the people gathered around this table are the ones that are doing it, and in this room. Some of them sitting a little bit on side. Some of them, I'm surprised, are not actually at the table. You people should be very insulted by that. But you've done a great job back there. On my first day in office earlier
Mithril, bring some salt to me too, Jesus.
This year I signed an executive order to officially designate the drug cartels and savage transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. It was my honor to do so. And on that same day, I also signed an order directing the creation of the Homeland Security Task Force to bring together all federal, state, and local partners to achieve the national policy goal of eliminating the cartel presence in America once and for all. And the results are, and it's early, and the results are spectacular. Led by ICE and the FBI, this task force includes the Department of Justice, the Department of War, DHS, the intelligence community, ATF,
or unless
the DEA,
you actually don't know, Drusilla,
and the state and local agencies in every part of our country.
The word JIZZ.
That's a hell of a group, isn't it?
Means something different.
It's not a group
Let's put it that
against you. Certainly not at one time. In addition to the task force members, we're pleased to be joined by representatives of law enforcement at every level, the highest level, actually, but every level, including National President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Yos. Where's Patrick? Patrick, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the endorsement,
I thought so, Drusilla. You're right.
Really
you're right. I knew you knew that.
I would have gotten 98% anyway, but it was still good to have your endorsement. Thank you, Patrick. I don't forget those things. President of the National Sheriff's Association, Chris West.
Okay.
Chris? Thank you, Chris, very much. Great, good job.
The most in terms of levels.
Major Cities Chief Association Executive Director Laura Cooper. Laura, thank you, Laura, very much.
Well, that sounds like fun to me, Malzo. I don't know about you.
Sheriffs of America Executive Director Megan Noland. Megan, thank you. Thank you very much. And President of the National Border Patrol Council, my friend, and a very good speaker, by the way. Whenever he gets up and speaks, I say, that guy can really speak. I don't know. I don't want him to run for office. I want him to stay where he is. Paul Perez. Paul. Thank you, Paul. Where is Paul? Hi, Paul. What are you doing over there, Paul? Good job. Good speaker you are, though.
Hey, what is the announcement? Can we get to the point here? I'm more interested in slavery in the Bible. Okay.
Today you'll hear details from my national security and homeland security teams about the extraordinary historic achievements of this new Homeland Security Task Force since it became fully operational last month in all 50 states. The job they're doing. What we inherited from this past administration is like disgraceful. In a matter of weeks, the task force has made the largest number of arrests of cartel leaders, operatives, and gang members in American history, more than 3,000 and counting. That includes members of the ultra-violent New Generation Cartel, the Sinaloa Cartel, the LNFM Cartel, MS-13.
Kind of had cool names,
cartel,
though, I will say.
You know, MS-13
not a fan, but.
And Tren de Aragua, another beauty. That's a group of real garbage we have to deal with, that we shouldn't have to deal with. These are, in addition to the massive numbers of dangerous criminals my administration arrested nationwide since January 20th, numbering over 120,000. It's a record, and 120,000 criminal arrests. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, for 4 long years before I took office, the last administration allowed the cartels and their operatives to frankly take over our country, to freely infiltrate America and all the communities nationwide, along with transnational gangs. These groups have unleashed more bloodshed and killing on American soil than all other terrorist groups combined. These are the worst of the worst. It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off
of the Western
heads,
Hemisphere.
burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way.
Right, Victoria.
The cartels control large swaths of territory. They maintain vast arsenals of weapons and soldiers, and they use extortion, murder, kidnapping to exercise political and economic
so it's like the Trump
control. Thank you very
administration.
much, Joe Biden, for allowing that to happen. Biden surrendered he just surrendered our country to the
Joe
cartels.
Hussein, Zelensky,
Don't worry,
Biden,
it gets better. We're taking
sorry.
it back. It's really fast at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But what we had to put up with, what we inherited, was just a disgrace. And
oh my God, here we go. I should be drinking. This could be an easy drinking game.
Biden. Nearly 100% of those who infiltrated our southern border did so because they were personally approved. They admitted they were just what happened, assisted by the most dangerous and violent criminal organizations anywhere on the planet. The worst people on the planet they allowed into our beautiful country. Under the Trump administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are. The cartels are waging war on America.
Right,
and just as
Jesus.
I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating. We're getting them out. The bad ones we're putting in prison. We hate to do that because that means we're stuck with them for 50 years or more. In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns.
Hey, can we
recently? This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation.
You guys, I'm going to move forward a bit. I'm sorry. Like, I want to see what's his announcement.
Before and everything in between. And then we got woke and we said, well, let's call it defense. I think we like it this way better. You know, it's funny. That's something I thought it would be maybe controversial. And it's only controversial that we changed the name in the first place. It's not controversial at all. It's been unbelievably well accepted, Pete. Hasn't it? Right? It's been pretty amazing. I thought it would be controversial. People want to have our country back. People want to do exactly what we're doing right now. We're getting a lot of credit for it, and we should. I want to thank Pete. You're doing a great job. Pete Hegseth. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Kristi, thank you very much.
Demosthenes, right. Okay, because it's just more bootlicking.
Homeland Security Advisor, Stephen Miller. Stephen, you're such a superstar, Stephen.
I don't know, but I'm going to see if there's any actually interesting announcements.
You should sue them,
here you
Stephen.
go.
I think he will. I hope he does. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Right,
and,
Kristi, the
I just
KKK
want to say
clown.
it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people do that. That'd be great. And they have great competence.
Okay, you know what, folks? We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. I'm sorry. I just can't. Unless there's something he wants to say that's valuable. I'm not in the mood. I don't give a shit. He's just rambling aimlessly. Okay. I did see the Noem secretary, Drusilla. Just let them yap. Yeah, I'm just gonna, okay. We're gonna go back to the other thing we're doing. Okay. First of all, folks, thank you. Thank you for telling me though, guys, because I do like to know when they do go live. But can we? I hope you guys don't mind. Y'all can watch them if you want to on your own time, unless there's something super interesting. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Meowzord. Okay. All right, guys. I'm sorry, Matt Saigai. I apologize. Alas, I am the cult leader, Matt Saigai, so I decide, okay? All right, so real fast, folks. I'll get back to the other video. I forgot to do this. Remember, we're doing our Kahoot tomorrow, right? We are doing our Kahoot. That is so true, Luke. He is wearing more makeup than I am on an average day. We have a Kahoot tomorrow. They have a Kahoot. Yeah, I think that's the kind of genocide he's trying to do, Drusilla. He's just trying to bore everyone to die, like to death. Like I think that's his version of the IDF, is just like trying to kill everyone in the United States by boring us all to death with his speech. Okay. Okay, Kahoot review. Do you all know tomorrow during our Kahoot, make sure you know who Weirdomorphous Blob is. Make sure you know who Victoria is, also known as Toya Toya Toya. Make sure you know who Doug on the left is. Okay, also called Doug. Okay, also called what? American? What's your Twitch thing there, Doug? It's what is it? I'm trying to find it. Doug is somewhere in here. I saw his. What is it? American. Yeah, American something. American Against Fear, also known as American Against Fear. That's good, Mad Side Guy. Okay. Don't forget who Dolly Boy is. Don't forget who Dolly Boy is. Don't forget who AMA Gaming is. Don't forget. Okay. Or Demosthenes. Don't forget Demosthenes. Demosthenes. Matt Saiga, you were on the last quiz, okay? In Your Groove, also In Your Groove, a relatively new, not that new, member of the community, who is also called Papadaka. In Your Groove, don't forget who In Your Groove is, because In Your Groove might be on the quiz. Don't forget who Luke from Washington is, also called Luke. That's kind of self-explanatory. Uh, yeah, don't forget Dolly Boy, especially don't forget Dolly Boy and his haggis. Okay. And don't forget Luke. Okay. Don't forget Louise. Also over on Twitch, she's called Lawswanich. Okay. Don't forget, because there might be questions about any one of these folks on the Kahoot tomorrow. And don't forget about Big Braden. Do not forget about Big Braden. We cannot forget about Big Braden. Big Braden might be on the quiz tomorrow. So I'm just saying, know our community, okay? Know our community. All right? Okay. And you can join the Discord if you want to learn more about these people before tomorrow. Okay, for some of them. Okay. We also, so it's been a long time since we've done a Kahoot. So let me just go through this quickly. Remember when we talked about bonobos and chimpanzees? Okay. So we did that. That was a while ago. Make sure you know the difference between a monkey and an ape. What's the easy way to remember, folks? Monkeys have tails. Apes do not have tails. Okay. Apes do not have tails. Monkeys have tails. Okay. Don't forget about the gender. It might not be Drizella. You never know, Drizella. Okay. Gender and social structure of chimps and bonobos. Okay. Okay. Just remember that. Tool use with chimps and bonobos. Also, dominance displays. Which one does dominance displays? Is it chimps or is it bonobos or is it both? And don't forget about the weird sexual behavior of bonobos. Okay. Next one here. Cultural materialism. Cultural materialism. We talked about it. That is, we talked about Marvin Harris. And yeah, we totally could do that, Victoria. Maybe we can do it later too on the second stream. But yeah, okay. Cultural materialism. Marvin Harris. Don't forget infrastructure, structure, and superstructure. Okay, and the sacred cows of India. Okay, you are Matt Sai guy. You're a Dom. Okay. All right. Also, we talked about the imperial boomerang. Amis Cesar. Okay. And the Herero and Nama genocides. All right. We also talked about guilt, shame, and fear societies, Eastern versus Western societies in that regard. Ruth Benedict in Japan, okay? We talked about power versus authority, right? The three types of authority, according to Weber: charismatic, legal rational, and what was the last one? Traditional, okay? Hard versus soft power. And what is a state? We talked about those three things. Also, never forget about Alex, okay? Don't forget about Alex. Do we all remember Alex? Do we all remember Alex? Okay. So those will be the things that'll possibly be on the Kahoot tomorrow, and that is our review. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So let's go back to this video that we were watching about slavery in the Bible. I'm loving this. So not slavery in the Bible, mind you, but the video. And again, folks, I will be doing a Jester After Dark stream. We have raised enough money for that. So just be aware of that. And let us continue with this video real fast. So this is, we're continuing here with the Christian nationalist commentator Joshua Hamas. And by the way, we also got enough to do a Q&A. Let's finish this video and then we'll finish up with a Q&A, okay? I'm not going to end this okay. No, Matt Tiger, we're going to do the Q&A after the video, okay? Okay, here we go.
An incredibly popular text in Micah chapter 6, verse 8. Let's do the King James Version for your benefit. He hath shown thee, O man, what is good. And what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. If you were to go back and read that text, what Micah is saying is that despite all the sacrifices and despite all of the burnt offerings and all the symbolic and performative gestures that the people of God in the Bible were trying to carry out to appease God. We're going to do these symbols and we'll sing songs and we'll make sacrifices. Micah said, no. God's already shown you what he wants from you. And it is for you to do justly, to stop carrying out injustice against marginalized people.
See, okay, again, though, folks, please forgive me. All right. I don't like the quoting of the Bible to defend the okay, it's not a reliable document. Like, honestly, folks, who cares what the Bible says? I'm sorry, I just don't care. Okay, you can interpret it in multiple different ways. Why not develop your own morality? And then if the Bible doesn't match it, then maybe you should just discard the Bible as a source of knowledge. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, but I respect him for trying to do the Christian refutation of another Christian. I get it. But okay.
If you were to go back and read the prophets of the Old Testament, ironically, God is constantly railing against the children of Israel for its treatment of marginalized.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry, but is God, because there's also a part where he tells the children of Israel to commit a genocide against the Canaanites and tells them to kill them, every man, down to every man, woman, and child. Okay, you see, this is why I don't like doing, I don't like it when, okay, he is cherry picking for his point of view. The other guy's going to cherry pick for his point of view. Maybe there's something wrong with the document that you can cherry pick whatever you want from it to make whatever argument, which opens the door to pay people making the argument that it's pro-slavery, opens the Amalekites. He also, what's that other group? Oh, damn it, I forget the other. There's another group too. Amalek. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, you said that group. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you're right. He also flooded the planet and killed everyone except for like 2 people. I mean, I wouldn't really view him as a god to follow. Right. And then I guess and he killed the Philistines. Yeah. And then and he also, by the way, slaughtered an entire Egyptian army. I mean, which, okay, that's, I guess, defendable, I guess, to some extent. But like, he also killed all the firstborns of Egypt, apparently. Okay, yeah, you'd think he'd make it consistent, and then why would he later send prophets to be like, "Oh, no. Love, ignore everything else that God said to do. You should love each other." I mean, it seems kind of human made to me. Kind of seems like humans had more of a hand in it than any God did, and that God probably didn't say any of it, or that there might not even be a God. Just saying. Okay. Um. Yeah. Yeah. He was a brutal tyrant. He was it was according to the Bible. It's like we're all living in a celestial North Korea, with God watching all of our thoughts and punishing people he doesn't like and charging us with thought crimes and yeah, which makes it exactly, Drusilla. Anyway, I'm sorry, folks. I know I don't like going down this rabbit hole. Please believe what you want. You all know it's sort of a sticking point with me, but okay.
People, read the book. This is actually how I know most Christians don't read the Bible. They may read texts. They may read a devotion here or there. They may even read texts or devotions.
Okay, again though, forgive me. But if I were to read the Bible, which I have, I've read through the whole thing probably about 12 times. I'm not even joking, because I went to a Catholic school. I would probably get the impression that God was pretty pro-slavery, didn't like women much, loved committing genocide, amongst other things. Now, I might be told by someone, "Oh, no, ignore all that stuff. Only focus on what Jesus said." So yeah. Anyway, just saying, I feel like him saying that they haven't read it, therefore they're misinterpreting it. I feel like they could read it and misinterpret it, or read it exactly as it is, and then get the right idea from it, which are bad ideas.
Regularly, they may listen to a lot of sermons, but there is an embarrassingly thin, weak, elementary understanding of the scripture as a whole. It's a story about people in process, moving from one primitive idea to the next and trying to be ushered,
you're right,
discipled,
Doug.
as we
Okay.
might say, into a fuller,
Mad side guy.
more compassionate ethic that culminates in so many ways with the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. I'm trying to talk to Christians in the terms that they understand.
Okay,
so
he's
you know what I
admitting
mean?
it.
I'm trying to kind of cut through with the language that they claim to believe in. Yeah. That's the story of Scripture, a story of people in progress. And God's commitment, this needs to be said, God's commitment to those people in process has nothing to do with an endorsement. It has everything to do with his covenant commitment to them. That's the point. The point is not an endorsement. The point is that they were doing things that he completely despised and said so often, and yet he remained committed to them. This is why the scriptures say, while we were yet
That's a fair point
sinners,
in your groove.
Christ died for us. It is a commitment despite. That's the point. That's the point. Not an endorsement. But I think many white Christian nationalists are blinded by their own priors. What I mean by that is that they have these ideas that pre-exist.
Yeah, no, Luke, you're right. I will there have been forms of Christianity that are very good, like liberation theology, things like that. Yeah, okay. But again, you can take almost any ideology you want out of the Bible and out of Christianity, which kind of shows that it's not a good groundwork for ideology if you can make whatever you want of it. I mean, I do you can come to a liberation. A lot of those liberation theology people were also socialists. A lot of those priests and stuff were also socialists. I don't know if they needed the liberation theology maybe they did. Yeah, okay.
Conclusions, and then they kind of force and manipulate and shrink the Bible to fit those ideas that already existed, those conclusions that they'd already come to.
Exactly.
You know, I said that this was racist for a reason. And it comes down,
Tolstoy,
in my
you're
opinion,
right, Luke,
to the simple fact that this person would not defend other institutions or activities that we consider inherently evil. He would not, I presume, defend child sexual exploitation, despite the Bible,
JDH,
the cultural context, the historical record, even texts in the scriptures suggest that they were marrying little girls off to grown men.
Yeah,
I assume you wouldn't defend that. That is inherently evil. Perhaps I shouldn't make this assumption. Maybe that's something that you defend. But what I've
Okay, I see his point though. Okay, I do like that point. The idea that they're cherry picking the racist things, right? Because they're already racist, or they're cherry picking the pro-slavery things to defend their whiteness. Okay, I get
notice
that.
with so many Christians is that so many of people in this particular faith tradition, they're comfortable with the intellectual theological exercise of reasoning through all of the complexities of things like institutional slavery or the humanity of non-white straight men. Mm-hmm. And they put it in this context of a biblical discussion and a theological discussion. You're comfortable with that precisely because of how you visualize yourself as the oppressor and not as
that's a Freire, right? Okay.
The oppressed, as the powerful and not the powerless. How do I know? I'll show you. He says it right here in this clip. Watch this.
I just want to clarify, just so it's just crystal clear. I am not saying that slavery was a positive good for society. I am not saying that we should bring it back. I am very happy that white Christians abolished slavery in the West and basically across the entire world, or most of it.
Did you hear it? Did you hear him visualize the parties involved in this?
Yeah, and he said white people. Okay,
story as whites in the position of power to abolish slavery. white Christians in the position
dear God.
to abolish slavery. The historical record is shaky at best on that claim. And non-white people in the position of slave, of being powerless. It is precisely this visualization that makes his entire analysis possible. Do we really think, let's think critically here for a second, do we really think that white Christian nationalist men are turning their rights and their freedom into an intellectual theological exercise where in the end, the conclusion that one might come to after going through the exercise of on the rights of white Christian men, they come to the conclusion that God approves their subjugation? Do you think we're doing that? I've not seen it. Show me the time where white Christian nationalist men, straight men, are turning their rights and their freedom into an intellectual exercise where in the end God approves of their subjugation. I think the overarching work of whiteness and white supremacy over the course of hundreds of years.
Luke, yes, Luke. You mean that? Are you referring to the distinction he just talked about on the right wing? The friend enemy distinction, a lot more on the right. Yeah. Of course, Freire would say, well, we shouldn't really have a friend-enemy distinction. I said, like, I know you're talking about the right wing here, Luke. I'm just saying, that there are oppressed and oppressors, but we need to liberate both the oppressed and the oppressors. That's interesting, Luke.
Years and generations and generations and generations of white Christians is what creates the conditions that allow him to come to these conclusions, to hold the presupposition that this is a topic worth debating. There is a deep social encoding that allows him to conclude that this is worth a ponder, that it is simply something to be negotiated theologically as opposed to being the utter moral and intellectual failure that it is. Your ancestors failed to develop a hermeneutic worth anything. They failed to read the scripture with any consistency, with any value. Bereft.
But again, folks, sorry, but is it possible to read the scriptures with consistency? Because the scriptures themselves are very inconsistent. I'm sorry. Most of the people I love in my life are Christians. I have no problem with Christians. I just, there's nothing wrong with being a Christian. I just I get this little tingly in my brain though, and whenever I hear these arguments like this, okay, I'll try to keep my mouth shut a bit here. Luke, the Bible was both used by abolitionists. You're absolutely right, Luke, and that's a problem, right? That is possible, Natsai. Okay, that's possible. Okay, you're right, Luke. It was used by both abolitionists and slaveholders, which makes me think that the Bible is not the best source of anything. Maybe we need a clearer, more moral code to turn to. All right,
of even an ounce of depth, and you just willingly, uncritically,
right, Fox Emblem,
pick it back up to serve your white supremacist movement's racist agenda. Pathetic. But I do want to take seriously the fact that this guy is open to being enslaved on biblical grounds, of course.
Hey, this is what I said, right?
Quite frankly, very weak. So a buyer would no doubt need to make an initial investment in bulking him up and getting him fit for labor in the fields.
I know, Alan.
So
I know.
That's
crazy.
Something that a buyer would need to.
And Alan, a lot of times Christians conflate criticism of the beliefs of their faith with like anti-Christian sentiment. Okay, folks, I in private, you will hear me criticize every single religion. I don't care. It has nothing to do with people of that religion, right? I will criticize Christians. I mean, the beliefs of these religions, okay? Because all these people are still humans, right? I will never dehumanize them. So criticizing like the beliefs of a religion is not the same as being anti the people of that religion. Okay. But anyway, you see how it's like a barrier. It's like a barrier to criticism, to take any critique of your beliefs as like an offense to you personally, or like an offense, or like I like I'm trying to see here, like whenever I criticize Marx, no one is like, "Oh, you're anti-socialist." Okay? Uh okay, like it has nothing to do. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've you can tell I've met people who cannot take the criticism, like obvious critiques of the worldview, and cannot separate it from this thought that they're being discriminated against or something. Um, or the excuse, well, you're not a Christian, so so you obviously wouldn't believe that. Okay, well, how's that? So we can't talk about your ideas. If you had a way to defend it, you would defend it rather than just saying, well, you're not a Christian. Like I can't. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Absolutely, right. Absolutely. And folks, I'm not only talking about Christians here. Again, I told you I do have a bias against Christianity because I grew up in that environment. I have, though, occasionally also critiqued people of other religions, because I can if I want to. I typically avoid it because a lot of times those people are in minority groups that are pretty badly mistreated. Anyway, but so yes, I do have a bias there. I've admitted that. But regardless, anyway, okay.
Think about, I'm not especially versed in the slave market, but I do think that may
Doug,
drive down his market.
And Doug, I will say I do know a lot also about other religions. It's just that I do have a lot of anger inside me because of growing up as a gay man in a Catholic school. So a lot of times I feel more comfortable, or I feel more anger welling up inside me when it comes to Christianity things because of past trauma. And like I said, I've admitted this. Yeah, exactly. All religions are harmed in this channel. There's no bias. Okay. Like folks, I have critiques of Islam. Yeah. I love Muslims though. They're human beings. Okay. I have major critiques of Judaism. Love Jews though. They're human beings. Okay. Hindus, huge critiques of Hinduism. Love Hindus. No problem with Hindus. Okay. Like, you see what I mean? Like, okay. Oof. Ooh, okay. I'm calm.
Value among the enslavers. Those of us who are anti-slavery, we just don't know a lot about that. But the enslavers would be able to weigh in. If you are one of those, please weigh in the comments.
So Matt Saigai. So okay, this is a good. Okay, so this is actually over. It looks like Matt Saigai says just because. Thank you, Matt Saigai. Matt Saigai. Okay, yeah, and let me point out Matt Saigai. Matt Saigai says just because they're in a minority group doesn't mean they shouldn't be criticized. Matt Saigai, I see what you're saying. That being said, you have to understand, Matt Saigai. There is, for example, in this country, like in lots of countries, for example, extreme Islamophobia. I do not, and if I were to criticize like a lot of Islamic beliefs, there would be people who would hear that and it would fuel their Islamophobia because they don't know how to differentiate between human beings and a historical thought process. You see what I mean? Or a historical way of thinking. So yeah, I do. It is something that I do think you should be careful. Like, I'm not going to be going after. I'm not going to be like getting on my stream here and talking about Islam. I just can't bring myself to do that. Is that partially dishonest? Yes, but I know the amount of suffering that Muslims are going through right now, and I know that people will take that in a certain way and use it incorrectly. You see what I mean? And that might be a flaw of mine, but like, okay. All right. You see what I mean? But that's a fair point though, Matt Saigai, right? Like, okay. Because in this country, at least, Muslims are a minority and they're a targeted minority. Oof. All right. Oh, I know. I was just using that as an example, Matt Saigai. I was just saying like Muslims as an example, or uh I'm speaking in general, not about anyone specific. I want to make clear, but I think there's atheists on the left who feel superior to religious people that end up pushing a lot of people away from our movement. Some people find it off-putting. No, Alan, you're right. And Alan, I'm telling you, and that might be partially me too, Alan. I try so hard not to do it. But especially when we talk about Christianity, which is becoming a big issue in the United States because of Christian nationalism, I struggle. I struggle to not come off that way because it triggers something in me. But you're right, Alan. And I don't want. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, Alan, you're right. And I'm trying. You all know, like, who have been watching this channel for a while, I was originally being like, I don't want to talk much about religion because I don't want to push people away. I don't want people to get the impression that I don't care about them just because they're of a religious belief. Okay. Regardless, you're very fair. You're very fair, Alan. Yeah, it's a very fair point there. Okay. Uh, all right. So okay. All right. So let's continue. Well, I think this was almost done here.
Like the video. If you aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Go ahead, just click it. Boom. And then right over there, click it. Boom. Like. I'd love for you to come over and check out my channel. There's a link to my channel below.
All right. Okay. Yep. That's over with. All right. So now then, Luke. I don't think, unfortunately, we're going to have time to look at this today. Let's do it tomorrow or Saturday. I really want to read through this with everyone. Luke sent this to me. It is fascinating. I read through it. So we will definitely look through that at some point. But for now, I think what time do we got here? But anyway, I will look through it. But we should look through it together on streams at some point, right? And by the way, Alan, I know, Alan, you're saying that wasn't directed at me. It's okay if it was, though. I know you said it wasn't, but if it is, it's okay. You can criticize me. I get it. And it's something I agree with you with, by the way. Yeah, there you go, Al. Okay, Alan, I got you, Alan. I see what you're saying, Alan. Okay, that's fair. I just hope everyone knows. I know, Alan, that's not what you meant now, but anyone here can criticize me. You can get on the Discord and send me a message. The one thing I can't stand, okay, is when people don't feel comfortable criticizing me to my face. Remember, we just talked about Paulo. Paulo. We talked about Paulo. Okay. And his idea and how I would teach in my classroom, like, you can criticize me, please do, because it also helps me get better. And I will, Luke, but I want to cover it, Luke. So we're going to do that at some point here. I just don't think we have time today now because I've been talking on and on and on. All right. All right. So, yeah, you can definitely learn from Matt Saigai about criticizing CR. I got to have a shout out here for Victoria, who actually during one of our cahoots one day openly criticized one of my questions, and I was very happy about that. I think it was the first time on a stream where someone openly stated out loud that they thought I had done something wrong, and she was right. Okay, so again. Victoria can account for the fact that I will take the criticism if you have it for me. All right. All right. That doesn't mean I will actually change what I'm doing. But you will know I will listen to it. And if it's like something that is true, I will change. Okay. I got you, Drusilla. Okay. So what we're going to do now, folks, I'm going to be getting off here because I think I've been on for quite a while now, haven't I? Thank you, Victoria. Okay. All right. So, guys, we will do this. Thank you so much, though, for sending this, Luke. This was, again, we're going to be looking more at it. Okay. All right, guys. Exactly, Matt Saigai. It was the stream when we talked about. Oh no, you're right. It wasn't the Kahoot thing. It was the stream about women in history. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So What we got here, okay, is okay. So I'm gonna sign off now, folks. Again, I am going to be doing a second stream later over on Twitch. It'll be another late night stream, another Jester After Dark. I'll be coming on between 7 and 8 p.m. Do I say my name? Do I say my name, by the way? My name? What do you mean? My first name is Sam. If that's what you're asking there, Drusilla. My first name is Sam. And by the way, Drusilla, I actually I sent another message to Punk Apostate. I'm still waiting to hear back, but okay. All right, guys. Yeah, so my name is Sam. That's my first name. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, guys. Good night, folks. I mean, not good night. I'll see you all later if you come by. You know what I'm about to say, folks. You know what I'm about to say. First of all, free Palestine. Free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourself. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourself. What do you mean, Drusilla? Who has to behave? Okay, who? I got to know this. I'll tell him to behave. Okay. Okay. Who has to behave? Okay. Anyway. All right. Curious about that. Okay. Oh, I see. You're talking about Punk Apostate. I got you. Okay. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves, right? I got you. Okay. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Okay. That includes when you watch me. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. See what other people are saying. Don't get caught in an information silo because the easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Thirdly, here, we're living in a fascist moment in this country. Fascism thrives in an environment where people have lost faith in their democratic institutions. So they no longer have faith. They turn to more radical things to change their system. We need major reforms in this country. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you. They will. Don't be a slug. Don't let them walk all over you. Resist. Okay. On the wall behind me is a sword. The name of that sword is Chainbreaker. Why do I have it there? Chainbreaker has been passed down in my family for many years. It is thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. Why do I have it? To remind everyone that our ancestors have made some major sacrifices for some of the things we have today. Please don't let their sacrifice go to waste, folks. Please, please, please. Some of the things that they died or fought for are being rolled back. We can't let that happen. And always, 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 folks, fight for a better future. If they did it, we can. They oftentimes lived in worse circumstances than we're living in, and they still did it. Okay. All right, folks. On that note, you all have a good rest of your day, morning, evening, noon, afternoon, night, morning, wherever you may be in the world. I'll be back on later between 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time, somewhere around there. You all have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. Don't forget to study for the Kahoot.